Hello guys, welcome to Scion What If. So in this video, we will see what if Goku could copy any ability. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1, The mirror within the impact sent shockwaves through Beerus's world, purple dust billowing across the training grounds as Goku crashed into the ground. Again. He'd lost count of how many times Whis had put him on his back today, but the familiar ache in his muscles told him it had been plenty. Come on, Goku. You're not focusing. Whis called, his staff twirling effortlessly in his hand as he hovered above. Ultra Instinct isn't just about moving fast, it's about perfect reaction without thought. Goku pulled himself from the small crater his body had formed, brushing dust from his GI. I know. But it's harder than it looks. He grinned despite the bruises forming across his body. Nothing got him more fired up than being completely outclassed. It meant there was still so much room to grow. Vegeta stood off to the side, arms crossed and scowling as usual. Pathetic, Kakarot. You've been at this for hours and you're no closer than when you started. At least I'm trying something new. Goku shot back with a playful smirk. You're just standing there looking grumpy. Vegeta's scowl deepened. I'm observing, you fool. Some of us prefer to study before rushing in headfirst. Whis interrupted their bickering with a light chuckle. Perhaps a change of approach. Goku, I want you to watch me closely, not just with your eyes, but with your entire being. Feel the movement of energy. The angel moved into a stance Goku hadn't seen before. His usual playful demeanor shifted, replaced by an intensity that made even Beerus, who was napping nearby, crack open one eye with interest. This is a technique even Lord Beerus hasn't mastered, Whis explained. The Celestial Echo. Watch carefully. What happened next nearly broke Goku's brain. Whis seemed to split into 5 identical versions of himself, each moving independently yet in perfect harmony. They circled Goku, their movements fluid like water, impossible to predict. Then, simultaneously, all 5 struck, sending Goku flying without seeming to touch him at all. Whoa! Goku exclaimed as he tumbled through the air before catching himself. That was amazing. How did you? It's not about creating copies, Whis explained. It's about moving so precisely that your afterimages become substantial enough to carry energy. Very difficult, even for gods. Something clicked in Goku's mind as he watched. Not just understanding, but something deeper. As if the technique had imprinted itself directly into his muscle memory. Let me try again, Goku said, his voice uncharacteristically quiet as he concentrated. Whis raised an eyebrow but nodded, preparing another attack. This time, as Whis moved, Goku didn't just dodge, he mirrored. For each step Whis took, Goku's body responded in kind, anticipating the angel's movements with uncanny precision. When Whis struck, Goku wasn't there anymore. Instead, he was behind the angel, mimicking the exact stance Whis had just demonstrated. Celestial Echo, Goku whispered, and suddenly there were 5 Gokus, each moving independently yet connected, circling Whis with the same fluid grace the angel had shown moments before. Even Beerus sat up fully now, his nap forgotten. What the? Vegeta's jaw dropped. Whis's eyes widened in genuine surprise, something neither Scion had ever seen before. That's impossible. It took me centuries to perfect that technique. The multiple Gokus converged back into one as Goku released the technique, his face lighting up with excitement. That was awesome. It felt like I could see exactly how you were channeling your energy and just did the same thing. Try this then, Whis said, his curiosity piqued. He performed a complex series of energy manipulations, creating an intricate lattice of light. That expanded outward like a net. Without hesitation, Goku replicated it perfectly. And this? Whis created a spiral of energy that compressed into a tiny point before expanding explosively outward. Again, Goku mimicked it flawlessly. Remarkable, Whis murmured. It seems you've developed some sort of copying ability. Copying? Goku looked at his hands in wonder. I just watched what you did and knew how to do it too. Vegeta stomped forward, his face darkening with each step. Are you saying this idiot can now instantly learn techniques that take others years to master? That's absurd. Not learning, precisely, Whis corrected, studying Goku with newfound interest. He's not understanding the principles behind the techniques. He's somehow directly replicating the energy patterns and movements. Fascinating. Goku's face split into his trademark grin. Oh man, this is gonna be so cool for fighting. I can't wait to try it out more. Don't get too excited, Beerus yawned, stretching as he fully woke up. Copying a technique doesn't mean you have the power or experience to use it effectively. Only one way to find out. Goku was practically bouncing with excitement. Vegeta, show me your final flash. Absolutely not. Vegeta snarled. I didn't perfect my techniques through years of brutal training just so you could steal them in an instant, Kakarot. Goku's face fell. Ah, come on. It's not stealing, it's just copying. I still think your techniques are amazing. Perhaps this is enough training for today, Whis interjected smoothly. This new development deserves some consideration. Why don't you return to Earth and explore this ability further, Goku? Start with something simpler than godly techniques. Good idea. Goku's enthusiasm returned instantly. I'm gonna see what else I can copy. Thanks for the training, Whis. See you later, Vegeta. Before anyone could say another word, Goku pressed 2 fingers to his forehead and vanished. Vegeta turned to Whis, his expression thunderous. This changes everything. That clown already surpasses me at every turn, and now this? Whis tapped his staff thoughtfully against the ground. I wouldn't be so concerned, Vegeta. Every ability has its limitations. And copying a technique isn't the same as making it your own. Besides, Beerus added with a mischievous smirk, now you just need to create techniques too complicated for him to copy. Consider it a challenge. Vegeta's scowl slowly transformed into a calculating grin. Yes, if Kakarot thinks he can simply copy my techniques, I'll just have to develop ones that are impossible to replicate. As Vegeta stormed off to train with renewed determination, Whis turned to Beerus with an unusually serious expression. You realize what this could mean, don't you? If Goku can truly copy any technique after seeing it once. Beerus nodded grimly. The originators won't be pleased. They've hunted down others with similar abilities before. Let's hope they don't notice, Whis said softly, looking toward the sky where Goku had vanished. For everyone's sake. Krillin nearly jumped out of his skin when Goku materialized directly in front of him at Kame House. Goku. Geez, warn a guy next time. Krillin clutched his chest dramatically. You're gonna give me a heart attack one of these days. Sorry, Krillin. Goku laughed, completely unapologetic. But I've got something awesome to show you. I need your help with an experiment. 18 stepped out onto the porch, eyeing Goku suspiciously. Last time you needed help with an experiment, our house ended up with a hole in the roof. This is different, I promise. Goku assured her. No property damage this time. I just need Krillin to show me his Destructo disc. Krillin looked puzzled. My Destructo disc? Why? You've seen it 1,000 times. Just trust me, Goku said with barely contained excitement. This is gonna blow your mind. Sighing, Krillin led Goku to the beach. Fine, but make it quick. I promised Marin we'd build sandcastles later. Krillin took a stance. Concentrating as familiar energy gathered above his palm, compressing and spinning until it formed a flat, razor-sharp disc of ki. Destructo disc, he shouted, launching the attack toward the open ocean where it sliced through a distant wave before dissipating. Perfect. Goku clapped his hands together. Now watch this. To Krillin's astonishment, Goku perfectly replicated his stance, gathered energy in exactly the same way, and within seconds had formed a Destructo disc identical to the one Krillin had just thrown. The energy even had the same distinctive yellow glow that was unique to Krillin's version. Destructo disc. Goku shouted with childlike glee, hurling it over the water where it cut through the waves with even more power than Krillin's had. What the? Krillin's eyes bugged out. How did you do that? I mean, I know you've seen the technique before, but that was exactly like mine, down to the energy signature. Goku bounced on his heels. I know, right? I discovered it today training with Whis. Somehow I can copy any technique perfectly just by seeing it once. It's like my body just remembers how to do it. That's actually kind of scary, Krillin admitted. So you could just copy anyone's signature moves now? I think so. That's why I'm testing it out. Goku looked around eagerly. Is Tien around? I want to try the tri-beam next. 18 crossed her arms, looking unimpressed. This seems like cheating. Those techniques took everyone years to perfect. Goku's enthusiasm dimmed slightly. It's not cheating, it's just a new ability. Like when I learned instant transmission, or when Vegeta figured out how to go Super Saiyan. Maybe, Krillin said, looking thoughtful. But those were techniques you had to work for. This is like, instantly getting what others struggled to achieve. Before Goku could respond, his stomach growled loudly. Heh, guess all this copying works up an appetite. Got any food before I head to find the others? And just like that, the serious moment passed as Krillin laughed. Some things never change. Come on, I think we've got enough for a Saiyan snack. Over the next few days, Goku traveled from friend to friend, testing the limits of his new ability. He copied Piccolo's special beam cannon, much to the Namekian's annoyance, replicated Tien's multiform technique, improving it by maintaining full power in each copy, and even managed a perfect imitation of Master Roshi's Kamehameha variations that the old master had kept secret for centuries. Each success fueled Goku's excitement, but he couldn't help noticing the mixed reactions from his friends. While some like Gohan and Goten were amazed and supportive, others seemed uncomfortable or even resentful. Piccolo had been particularly direct. Power without understanding is dangerous, Goku. These techniques represent lifetimes of wisdom and experience. Be careful you don't lose sight of what martial arts truly means. The word stuck with Goku as he flew toward Capsule Corporation, where he knew Vegeta would be training in the gravity chamber. Despite everyone's concerns, he couldn't help feeling excited. This new ability opened up so many possibilities. Imagine what he could learn in tournaments now, or how quickly he could adapt during battles. As he landed on the Capsule Corp lawn, Bulma was already waiting for him, hands on her hips. There you are. I've been hearing all about your new party trick. She looked more curious than judgmental. Vegeta's been ranting about it for days. Goku rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. Is he really that mad? I thought he'd be over it by now. Over it? Bulma laughed. He's locked himself in the gravity chamber at 500 times Earth's gravity, working on what he calls uncopyable techniques. I don't think I've ever seen him this motivated. That's Vegeta for you, Goku chuckled. Always turning everything into a competition. So let's see it then, Bulma said, her scientific curiosity evident. This copying ability everyone's talking about. It's not really something I can show without seeing a technique first, Goku explained. Bulma tapped her chin thoughtfully. I've been thinking, we should test the limits of this ability properly. Under controlled conditions. You mean like an experiment? Exactly. And I've got the perfect venue. Her eyes gleamed with excitement. I was planning a friendly tournament anyway, to test some new monitoring equipment. Now we can turn it into a showcase for your new ability. Goku's face lit up. A tournament? With everyone fighting? Count me in. I'll invite all the usual suspects. It'll give everyone a chance to see what you can do, and maybe help understand the limitations too. Bulma was already typing on her phone. How does next weekend sound? Sounds perfect. But, maybe don't tell Vegeta it's specifically to test my copying? He's already pretty mad. Bulma winked. Don't worry about Vegeta. I know exactly how to handle him. Now, he's probably sensed you by now and is just being stubborn. Why don't you go knock on his gravity chamber and see if he'll come out to play? Goku nodded and headed toward the dome-shaped building at the far end of the compound, feeling Vegeta's ki pulsing strongly from within. He knocked on the thick metal door. Go away, Kakarot. Vegeta's voice came immediately, confirming he'd sensed Goku's arrival. Come on, Vegeta. I just want to spar a little. So you can steal more of my techniques. Not happening. Goku pressed his face against the small window in the door. Inside, he could see Vegeta performing a complex kata he'd never seen before, energy swirling around him in unusual patterns. I'm not stealing anything. Think of it as flattery. Your techniques are so cool I want to try them too. The gravity chamber door suddenly slid open, revealing a sweat-drenched Vegeta. Flattery, he spat. You think this is about my ego? Isn't everything with you? Goku joked, then immediately regretted it when he saw Vegeta's expression darken further. You understand nothing, as usual. Vegeta stepped outside, closing the chamber behind him. Those techniques aren't just movements, Kakarot. They're the culmination of my heritage, my struggles, my evolution as a warrior. When you copy them without walking the path to earn them, you dishonor their meaning. Goku's smile faded. He hadn't thought about it that way. I didn't mean any disrespect. Of course you didn't, Vegeta said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. You never do. You just bumble through life, collecting power-ups and techniques like a child collecting toys, never stopping to consider the deeper meaning of anything. That's not fair, Goku protested. I work hard for my strength. Do you? Or do you just happen to be in the right place at the right time, over and over again? First Super Saiyan, then the ridiculous potentials unlocked by old Kai, now this copying ability. Vegeta crossed his arms. Some of us have to claw and scrape for every increment of power. The conversation was growing uncomfortably serious for Goku's taste. Look, I didn't ask for this ability. It just happened. And I'm just trying to explore what I can do with it. Vegeta stared at him for a long moment, then sighed. Bulma's organizing some kind of exhibition tournament, isn't she? Yeah. Next weekend. You're coming, right? A slow, dangerous smile spread across Vegeta's face. Oh, I'll be there. And I'll show you exactly why some techniques can't be copied, no matter what special ability you've stumbled into. Something about Vegeta's confidence made Goku uneasy, but also sent a thrill of excitement through him. A new challenge was exactly what he needed to test the limits of this power. Looking forward to it. Goku said with genuine enthusiasm. I'll see you there. As Goku flew away from Capsule Corp, he didn't notice the small drone tracking his movement from high above, a drone not of Earth origin, transmitting data to a ship hidden on the dark side of the moon. Across the galaxy, on a planet hidden between dimensions, alarms blared through the crystalline halls of an ancient citadel. Warriors in ornate armor rushed through corridors as screens displayed readings from various sectors of the universe. In the central chamber, a towering figure stood before a holographic display showing Goku perfectly replicating Piccolo's special beam cannon. The being's skin was deep indigo, marked with luminescent patterns that shifted and changed like flowing script. 6 eyes arranged in a vertical line down the center of his face narrowed as he watched the footage. So, he said, his voice resonating with multiple harmonics, another power thief emerges. A smaller figure bowed before him. The readings are clear, Lord Nexus. The scion known as Goku has manifested the mimic ability. Our scouts report he's rapidly collecting techniques from his planet's warriors. The scion race. Nexus mused. I thought they were extinct. Interesting that one would develop this forbidden talent. What are your orders, my lord? Asked another warrior. Shall we dispatch the collectors? Nexus raised a six-fingered hand, each digit ending in a crystalline claw. No. This one is different from the others we've hunted. His power level is concerning. He gestured to the display, which showed Goku transforming into his various Super Saiyan forms. This warrior has already achieved godly power through conventional means. Combined with the mimic ability, he could become a true threat. All the more reason to eliminate him quickly, argued one of his generals. Patience, Nexus countered. We must observe first. Send scouts to assess his character and the full extent of his copying ability. If he proves to be like the others, using stolen techniques for domination and destruction, then we will act. He turned away from the display, the patterns on his skin glowing brighter. Prepare the void chamber. I will begin training immediately. If we must face this scion, I will need to perfect my lock techniques. As his warriors hurried to comply, Nexus gazed at the frozen image of Goku. Enjoy your stolen power while you can, scion. The originators have preserved the purity of martial arts for eons. We will not allow another power thief to corrupt our sacred traditions. The day of the tournament arrived with perfect weather and excitement crackling in the air. Bulma had outdone herself, transforming the Capsule Corporation grounds into a spectacular arena complete with a raised fighting platform, spectator stands, and monitoring equipment that would make even the gods of destruction impressed. Welcome everyone. Bulma announced through a microphone, dressed in an outfit that somehow managed to be both practical and stylish. Thanks for joining our little exhibition tournament. This is strictly for fun and data collection, no world-ending stakes for once. The crowd laughed, a mix of the Z Fighters' friends and family along with Capsule Corp employees who'd been given the day off to watch. We've got 16 competitors ready to showcase their skills, Bulma continued. The rules are simple, no killing, no destroying the arena, and try to keep collateral damage to a minimum. I just replanted those flower beds. In the competitors' area, Goku bounced on his toes, unable to contain his excitement. Around him stood the usual suspects, Vegeta looking intensely focused, Piccolo meditating quietly, Krillin and Tien warming up, Android 18 looking bored, Gohan adjusting his glasses, Goten and Trunks trying, and failing, to look serious, plus Master Roshi, Yamcha, Kaiatsu, Android 17 who'd taken a rare break from his ranger duties, and even Majin Buu who was more interested in the snack table than the competition. Bulma had also invited Jocko the Galactic Patrolman, who was nervously checking his blaster, and to everyone's surprise, Beerus and Whis had decided to participate as well, though Beerus clarified he was only here for the food and would simply observe. Alright, Dad. Gohan approached Goku with a concerned expression. You know everyone's talking about your new ability, right? Some of them are pretty worked up about it. Goku nodded. Yeah, I've noticed. But maybe this tournament will help everyone see it's not such a big deal. It's just another technique. I don't think they see it that way, Gohan said carefully. To them, it feels like you're taking shortcuts around years of hard work. But I'm not trying to replace their special moves or anything, Goku protested. I'm just borrowing them sometimes. Gohan sighed. Just be careful, okay? Especially with Vegeta. He's been acting strange all week, more intense than usual. When isn't he intense? Goku laughed, but he'd noticed it too. Vegeta had been training in complete isolation, refusing to let anyone see what he was working on. It only made Goku more curious about what his rival had developed. First match. Bulma announced. Krillin vs Yamcha. As the tournament progressed through its early rounds, Goku watched carefully, studying everyone's techniques. He easily defeated Jocko in his first match without needing to use his copying ability at all, and then faced off against Tien in the quarterfinals. "No holding back, Goku," Tien said as they took their positions on the platform. "Show me this copying ability everyone's talking about." Goku grinned. "If you insist." The match began with Tien immediately launching into his multiform technique, splitting into 4 identical copies that surrounded Goku. Without hesitation, Goku perfectly replicated the move, creating 4 copies of himself that mirrored Tien's positions. The crowd gasped. Unlike Tien, whose power was divided among his copies, Goku's duplicate seemed to maintain his full strength, an improvement on the original technique. "How did you?" Tien's 4 faces showed identical expressions of shock. "I told you," all 4 Gokus said simultaneously. "I can copy any technique now." What followed was a bizarre battle of escalation as Tien desperately pulled out every technique in his arsenal, the volleyball attack, the solar flare, even the dangerous tri-beam, only to have each perfectly countered by Goku using the exact same move, but stronger. When Tien finally collapsed from exhaustion, Goku helped him to his feet, having long since dropped back to his singular form. "That was amazing, Tien. You've got so many cool techniques." Tien managed a weak smile despite his wounded pride. "Thanks, Goku. It's something else to fight against your own moves." The semi-finals matched Goku against Android 18, while Vegeta faced Piccolo. Both Scions won their matches, Goku by adapting 18's energy absorption technique to counter her attacks, and Vegeta through sheer overwhelming power against Piccolo. And then it was time for the final, Goku vs Vegeta, just as everyone had expected. "This is what we've all been waiting for," Bulma announced as the 2 Scions took the platform. "Our 2 strongest fighters facing off in the championship match." Vegeta stood with his arms crossed, a confident smirk on his face. "Ready to lose, Kakarot?" Goku stretched his arms above his head, grinning. "Not planning on it. I'm excited to see what you've been working on though." "You'll see it all right," Vegeta promised. "And for once, you won't be able to simply copy your way to victory." Beerus, who'd been dozing through most of the tournament, finally sat forward with interest. "This might actually be worth watching," he commented to Whis. "Indeed," Whis agreed, his eyes showing unusual seriousness. "But I'm more concerned about those energy signatures I'm detecting approaching Earth." Beerus's ears twitched. "You feel them too?" "Originator scouts, if I'm not mistaken." "Let's hope they're just observing for now," Whis murmured. On the platform, Bulma raised her hand. "Fighters ready? Begin." Vegeta immediately charged forward, engulfed in the blue aura of Super Saiyan Blue. Goku matched his transformation and met him head-on, their collision sending shockwaves across the arena. "Not wasting any time, are you?" Goku laughed as they exchanged lightning-fast punches and kicks. "Why delay the inevitable?" Vegeta shot back, narrowly dodging a roundhouse kick. For several minutes, they fought conventionally, testing each other's defenses with familiar attacks and techniques. The crowd was enthralled, barely able to follow their movements as they blurred across the platform. Then Vegeta suddenly disengaged, jumping back to create distance. "Enough warm-up. Let's see you copy this." He took a strange stance Goku had never seen before, his arms forming an unusual pattern as energy began to swirl around him in complex geometric shapes. The blue aura of Super Saiyan Blue remained, but now golden geometric patterns appeared within it, like a layer of intricate circuitry. "Prismatic array!" Vegeta shouted. Suddenly, the energy crystallized around him in a complex lattice, and beams of light shot outward in all directions. Goku dodged frantically, but the beams curved and followed him, striking from multiple angles simultaneously. "Whoa!" Goku exclaimed as he was hit from behind, the energy not just damaging but briefly paralyzing him. "What kind of attack is that?" "One you can't copy," Vegeta said with satisfaction. "The energy pattern is too complex, requiring precise mathematical calculations with each movement. Goku narrowed his eyes in concentration, watching carefully as Vegeta maintained the technique. "Let me try." He mimicked Vegeta's stance and began to form similar energy patterns around himself. For a moment, it seemed to be working, the geometric shapes started to appear, but then they collapsed into chaotic sparks. "What?" Goku looked genuinely surprised. Vegeta laughed. "I told you. This technique requires conscious calculation with every gesture. It's not just about copying the movement or energy flow, you need to understand the mathematics behind it." "Since when do you know complex math?" Goku asked incredulously. "I'm a prince, you idiot. I was educated in all subjects before I could walk." Vegeta renewed his attack, the energy beams intensifying. Goku tried again to copy the technique, with the same results. For perhaps the first time since discovering his new ability, he faced a technique he couldn't immediately replicate. The crowd was going wild, especially when they realized what was happening. "Vegeta's done it." Bulma cheered. "He's created a technique Goku can't copy." Forced on the defensive, Goku shifted tactics. He couldn't copy this new technique, but he had plenty of others in his arsenal now. He cycled through various copied abilities, Piccolo's light grenades, Tien's multiform, even Krillin's solar flare, trying to find an opening in Vegeta's defenses. But Vegeta had clearly prepared for this, countering each copied technique with precise responses. "Predictable," he taunted. "I've been fighting alongside these people for years, I know how to counter all their techniques." Goku found himself being steadily pushed back toward the edge of the platform. The situation was dire enough that he considered using Ultra Instinct, but something held him back, a desire to win this fight fairly, without resorting to his trump card. Then inspiration struck. If he couldn't copy Vegeta's new technique directly, maybe he could adapt it. Goku stopped retreating and stood his ground, closing his eyes briefly as he reached deep into his understanding of key manipulation. He didn't need to replicate Vegeta's technique exactly, he just needed to grasp the underlying principle. When his eyes opened, they shone with new determination. He took a stance that was similar to Vegeta's but distinctly his own, and began forming energy patterns that were simpler but more intuitive. "What are you doing?" Vegeta demanded, suspicious of this new approach. "Creating my own version." Goku replied, as crystalline energy structures formed around him, less complex than Vegeta's geometric patterns, but more fluid and adaptable. "I can't copy your math, but I can understand the energy flow." "Adaptive array." Goku called out, naming his technique on the spot. The energy constructs around him pulsed and expanded, not firing beams like Vegeta's but creating a reactive field that began to absorb and redirect the prince's attacks. Vegeta's eyes widened in disbelief. "Impossible. You can't just improvise a counter to a technique I spent months perfecting." "Not copying," Goku corrected him, grinning as he gained confidence with his new creation. "Adapting." The two techniques clashed spectacularly, Vegeta's precise geometric patterns battling against Goku's more intuitive flowing constructs. The air between them became a kaleidoscope of energy, drawing gasps from the crowd. "Remarkable," Whis commented. Rather than copying directly, Goku has grasped the fundamental concept behind Vegeta's technique and created his own variation. Beerus nodded appreciatively. The mark of a true martial artist, understanding rather than mimicking. The battle reached its climax as both scions poured more power into their techniques, the platform beneath them beginning to crack under the pressure. Just as it seemed the entire arena might collapse, a new energy signature flared in the sky above. Everyone felt it simultaneously, alien, cold, and undeniably powerful. 3 streaks of light cut through the clouds, circling the arena before landing on the edge of the platform. The fighters stood transfixed as the light faded to reveal 3 humanoid figures in crystalline armor, their indigo skin covered in glowing patterns. "Power thief detected," announced the tallest of the 3, pointing directly at Goku. By authority of Lord Nexus and the Originator Covenant, you are ordered to surrender yourself for judgment. What the? Goku's concentration broke, his energy construct dissipating. Who are you guys? We are scouts of the Originators, the alien continued. We have observed your desecration of sacred martial arts through unauthorized copying of techniques. This sacrilege cannot stand. Vegeta let his own technique fade, stepping forward with a scowl. You're interrupting our tournament. Bad timing. The alien scouts ignored him, their focus solely on Goku. You will come with us willingly, or we will take you by force. Lord Nexus awaits your arrival for purification. Purification? Goku repeated, his battle stance shifting from competitive to defensive. Look, I don't know who you guys are, but I'm not going anywhere. We were kind of in the middle of something here. Then we have no choice, said the alien, as all three scouts began to glow with power. The power thief must be contained. As they launched forward in perfect unison, Goku and Vegeta exchanged a quick glance. Their rivalry was instantly set aside in the face of this new threat. Rain check on our match? Goku asked with a half-smile. Vegeta nodded, dropping into a fighting stance beside him. These fools have no idea who they're dealing with. The Originator scouts attacked with techniques unlike anything the Z fighters had ever seen, crystalline weapons forming from pure energy, movements that seemed to bend the fabric of space itself, and abilities that specifically targeted Goku's energy signature. And strangely, when Goku instinctively tried to copy one of their energy attacks, he felt a painful feedback surge through his body, as if the technique itself was rejecting his attempt to replicate it. What the? Goku grimaced, holding his head. I can't copy their moves. Their techniques must be protected somehow, Vegeta shouted as he engaged one of the scouts in close combat. As the battle spilled across the arena, sending spectators fleeing for cover, Whis stepped forward with unusual seriousness. Beerus, we should intervene. If these are truly Originators, this situation could escalate beyond Earth's capacity to handle. Beerus yawned and stretched. Let them warm up first. I want to see what these Originators can do. Besides, Goku and Vegeta need to learn that some powers come with consequences. The battle intensified as more Z fighters joined the fray. Piccolo, Gohan, and the others rushed to help, but the scouts were formidable opponents, their coordinated attacks driving even multiple Z fighters back. Dad! Gohan called out as he narrowly avoided a crystalline spear. What's happening? Who are these guys? No idea. Goku replied, flipping over an energy wave that sliced through part of the platform. But they're mad about my copying ability. One of the scouts locked eyes with Goku. The Originators have hunted power thieves across the cosmos for millennia. Your kind steals what others have sacrificed to create, dishonoring the sacred path of martial evolution. I'm not stealing anything. Goku protested, blocking a flurry of attacks. I'm just learning. Without the journey, knowledge is hollow, the scout replied coldly. Without sacrifice, power is meaningless. As the battle raged on, it became clear that the scouts were merely testing Earth's defenses, assessing the threat level rather than fighting at full capacity. After a particularly powerful combined attack from Goku and Vegeta sent one scout crashing into the stands, all three suddenly disengaged. Assessment complete, announced their leader, floating above the ruined arena. The power thief possesses significant combat ability and allies of note. Full intervention will be required. The three scouts began to glow with teleportation energy. Wait! Goku called out. We don't have to fight. Let's talk about this. The time for talking is past, replied the scout. Lord Nexus will come for you, power thief. Prepare yourself. In a flash of light, the three aliens vanished, leaving behind a destroyed arena and a group of confused fighters. What just happened? Krillin asked, looking around at the devastation. Whis stepped forward, his usual playful demeanor replaced by grave seriousness. It appears Goku's new ability has attracted unwanted attention. The originators are one of the oldest civilizations in the universe, self-appointed guardians of what they call pure martial arts. And they hunt people with copying abilities? Gohan asked. Beerus nodded. They consider such abilities a corruption of the natural order. In their view, techniques should be earned through training and sacrifice, not acquired instantly through copying. Goku looked troubled. But I'm not using this ability for anything bad. I just want to get stronger, like always. Intent matters little to the originators, Whis explained. They've seen too many with similar abilities abuse their power throughout history. Vegeta crossed his arms, scowling. So these originators are coming to Earth because of Kakarot's new trick. Perfect. Just perfect. Not just coming, Whis corrected. If those were merely scouts, then their leader, this Lord Nexus they mentioned, will be far more powerful. Bulma surveyed the wreckage of her tournament arena and sighed heavily. Well, so much for no world-ending stakes for once. I should have known better. Goku's expression shifted from confusion to determination. If these originator guys want to fight, they'll get one. But I'm not giving up this ability just because they say so. You might not have a choice, Beerus warned. The originators possess techniques specifically designed to counter and neutralize copying abilities. That's why you couldn't copy their attacks. Then I'll just have to get stronger in my own way too, Goku decided. This Nexus guy might be tough, but so am I. As the group began to plan their defense against the coming threat, none of them noticed a small crystalline device left behind by the scouts, recording and transmitting their every word to a ship now approaching Earth's solar system. Aboard that ship, Nexus watched the footage with his 6 eyes narrowed in concentration. So, the Scion refuses to surrender his stolen power, he mused. And he has the protection of a god of destruction and his angel. Interesting. He turned to his commanders. Prepare for my personal intervention. This power thief will require special attention. Back on Earth, as the sun set over the ruins of the tournament arena, Goku stood alone, looking up at the stars. His new ability had opened incredible possibilities, but it had also brought unexpected consequences. For the first time, he wondered if some powers came at too high a price. But as doubt crept in, so did his Scion determination. Whatever these originators had planned, he would face it head-on, just as he always had. And maybe, just maybe, he could show them that copying wasn't stealing, but another path to growth and understanding. With renewed resolve, he pressed 2 fingers to his forehead and vanished, ready to prepare for the battle ahead. Chapter 2, Reflections of Strength. Goku materialized at the lookout, his face uncharacteristically serious as he landed on the pristine white tiles. Dend and Mr. Popo rushed to meet him, already aware of what had happened at Capsule Corporation. News traveled fast, especially when it involved aliens crashing Bulma's tournaments. Goku. We felt the disturbance, Den said, his antenna twitching with worry. Those energy signatures were unlike anything I've sensed before. Yeah, they called themselves originators, Goku replied, rolling his shoulder where one of the scouts had landed a particularly nasty hit. Apparently they're not big fans of my new copying trick. I feared as much, Den sighed. When I sensed your ability changing, I consulted with the previous Guardian's records. The originators are mentioned there, they're ancient, even by Namekian standards. Mr. Popo nodded gravely. They are known as the keepers of pure technique. Their civilization predates most others in our universe. Well, they fight pretty weird, Goku said, remembering the crystalline weapons and strange energy patterns. And get this, I couldn't copy their techniques. It hurt when I tried. That would be their prism lock, came a voice from behind them. Piccolo emerged from the sanctuary, having meditated there since leaving the tournament. I've been communicating with Nail's memories. The Namekians encountered the originators thousands of years ago. Seriously? Goku perked up. What else do you know about them? Piccolo crossed his arms. Not much. They're secretive and rarely interact with other civilizations except to hunt what they call power thieves, beings who can copy or absorb techniques without proper training. That's me, I guess, Goku laughed, but there wasn't much humor in it. But I don't get why they're so worked up. It's just another way of learning. To them, it's sacrilege, Piccolo replied. The originators believe techniques should only be mastered through proper training and understanding. Their entire culture revolves around this principle. Dend nodded. Their philosophy is that without understanding the fundamentals, using a technique is hollow, even dangerous. Well, they're dangerous. Goku countered. Those scouts were just testing us, and they still tore up half of Bulma's yard. Their leader sounds even worse. Nexus, Piccolo said the name like it left a bad taste. According to Nail's fragmented memories, he's been hunting power thieves for centuries. Some say he can completely lock away a copied ability permanently. Goku's eyes widened. He can take away my copying power. Possibly. But I think we have more immediate concerns. Piccolo pointed to the sky. Their energy signatures are still in orbit. They haven't left, they're watching. Goku closed his eyes, extending his senses outward. Sure enough, he could feel the strange crystalline energy hovering just beyond Earth's atmosphere. You're right. So what's the plan? We need to gather everyone, Piccolo said. If these originators decide to attack in force, we'll need all the help we can get. 2 hours later, the entire group had assembled at Capsule Corp, where Bulma had converted her destroyed tournament arena into an emergency command center. Screens displayed satellite imagery and energy readings, while Bulma herself typed furiously at a central console. According to my calculations, there are at least 3 ships in orbit, she announced. They're cloaked, but the energy fluctuations give them away. The assembled Z fighters looked grim. Vegeta stood with his arms crossed, Gohan had changed into his fighting GI, while Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, and the others formed a semicircle around the displays. Even Beerus and Whis had remained, though the god of destruction looked bored as he snacked on leftovers from the tournament. So what's their deal? Yamcha asked. They're mad because Goku can copy techniques. It's deeper than that, Whis explained, tapping his staff lightly against the floor. The originators view themselves as the protectors of martial arts purity across the cosmos. In their eyes, the path to mastering a technique is as important as the technique itself. That's ridiculous, Vegeta scoffed. Power is power, however you obtain it. Whis raised an eyebrow. Is it? Weren't you quite upset about Goku copying your techniques without the years of training you invested? Vegeta's scowl deepened, but he didn't respond. The point is, Piccolo interjected, these originators won't stop until they've dealt with what they see as a threat to their way of life. Me, Goku said simply. I still don't understand why they care so much, Krillin said. It's not like Goku is hurting anyone by copying techniques. According to their beliefs, he is, Whis explained. They believe techniques contain the spirit and intention of their creators. To copy without understanding dishonors that spirit and risks corrupting the technique's true purpose. That's just superstition, Bulma dismissed with a wave of her hand. Perhaps, Whis smiled enigmatically. But many ancient beliefs have more truth than modern minds recognize. Enough philosophy, Vegeta cut in impatiently. What matters is these originators are planning to attack Earth because of Kakarot. So what are we going to do about it? All eyes turned to Goku, who had been uncharacteristically quiet. He was staring at his own reflection in one of Bulma's darkened monitors, seemingly lost in thought. Goku? Gohan prompted. Goku looked up, determination written across his face. I'm going to talk to them. Talk. Vegeta's voice dripped with sarcasm. They don't want conversation, you fool. They want to punish you for your new ability. Maybe, Goku admitted. But I've faced plenty of enemies who started out wanting to destroy me. Some of them are standing in this room now. He glanced meaningfully at Vegeta and Piccolo, who both looked away. The scouts said their leader, Nexus, wants me for purification, Goku continued. I want to know what that means before we start a fight we could avoid. That's surprisingly sensible of you, Dad, Gohan said, adjusting his glasses. Hey, I can be sensible. Goku protested. Sometimes. You realize they might attack the moment you approach their ships? Piccolo warned. Goku shrugged. Then we'll know they're not interested in talking, and we can fight without wondering. I'll go with you, Vegeta said abruptly. Everyone turned to stare at him in surprise. What? He snapped. Someone needs to make sure this idiot doesn't get himself killed before we finish our tournament match. Goku grinned. Thanks, Vegeta. Don't thank me, Vegeta growled. I still think this is stupid. But if we're going to fight these originators, I want to be there from the start. It's settled then, Bulma said, turning back to her console. I can use Capsule Corp's satellites to send a communication signal to their ships. Maybe they'll respond and we can arrange a meeting. No need, Goku said cheerfully. I can just teleport up there. Without knowing exactly where their ships are. Bulma looked horrified. You could materialize in empty space. I don't need to see their ships, Goku explained. I can sense their energy signatures. That's enough for instant transmission. Well, that solves the transportation issue, Whis noted. But what will you say to them? Goku scratched the back of his head. I figured I'd just wing it. Collective groans filled the room. Perhaps I should accompany you as well, Whis suggested. The originators might be more receptive to diplomatic approaches if a divine being is present. No, Beerus spoke up suddenly, licking crumbs from his fingers. The originators and the gods of destruction have an understanding. We don't interfere with their hunts, and they don't challenge our authority. If Whis goes as my representative, it could be seen as breaking that neutrality. So just me and Vegeta then, Goku concluded. Perfect. Ready to go, Vegeta? Vegeta sighed deeply. As ready as one can be for a suicide mission. Wait. Bulma grabbed a small device from her workbench and tossed it to Vegeta. Communication earpiece. I want to hear everything that happens up there. Vegeta inserted the device into his ear with a grunt. Be careful, you too, Gohan said. And Dad, try not to accidentally start an intergalactic war. When have I ever done that? Goku asked innocently. The entire room stared at him silently. Okay. Message received. Goku placed 2 fingers to his forehead. Grab on, Vegeta. With a reluctant scowl, Vegeta gripped Goku's shoulder. In an instant, they vanished. The sensation of teleporting into space was always disorienting. One moment they were standing in Bulma's workshop, the next they were floating amidst stars, the blue curve of Earth visible below them. Thankfully, Scions could survive briefly in the vacuum of space, a useful adaptation for a warrior race. Before them loomed 3 massive crystalline ships, their surfaces reflecting the distant sunlight in prismatic patterns. Now that they were visible, it was obvious why Bulma's sensors had trouble detecting them. The ships seemed to bend light around them, appearing almost liquid from certain angles. Impressive, Vegeta admitted grudgingly. Their technology is unlike anything I saw during my time with Frieza. Goku nodded, then tapped his temple and pointed at Vegeta's earpiece, reminding him they couldn't speak in space. Vegeta rolled his eyes but nodded in understanding. The moment they appeared, lights activated across the ship's surfaces, and a shimmering field extended outward, enveloping both Scions. Suddenly, they could breathe and speak again. They've created an atmosphere for us, Vegeta noted, looking around suspiciously. At least they're not killing us outright. See? They're willing to talk. Goku said optimistically. A section of the central ship's hull rippled and opened like a liquid membrane. A tall figure emerged, hovering just outside the opening. It was immediately recognizable as an originator, indigo skin with luminescent patterns, but unlike the scouts, this being had 6 eyes arranged vertically down his face and stood nearly 10 feet tall. Scion warriors, the being's voice somehow carried through space, resonating directly in their minds. I am Nexus, arbiter of the Originator Covenant. You have saved us the trouble of retrieving you. Hey there. Goku called out with a friendly wave. I'm Goku, and this grumpy guy is Vegeta. We thought we should talk before things got out of hand. Nexus's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. There is nothing to discuss. You have manifested the forbidden mimic ability and must be purified. Yeah, about that, Goku scratched his head. What exactly is purification? Because it sounds kind of painful, and I'd rather avoid that if possible. The process removes the corruption from your spirit, Nexus explained. The ability to copy techniques without proper training is an aberration, a cancer on the pure martial arts traditions we have protected for eons. Look, Goku tried again. I get that you guys take your martial arts seriously. I do too. But this copying ability just helps me learn faster. I'm not using it to hurt anyone. Your intentions are irrelevant, Nexus replied coldly. Throughout history, every being who has manifested the mimic ability has eventually succumbed to its corruption. Power obtained without sacrifice inevitably leads to darkness. Vegeta stepped forward. And who appointed you the judge of how others should obtain power? The Scion race has always taken strength wherever we could find it. Yes, Nexus's patterns glowed brighter. And look what became of the Scion race, destroyers and conquerors, eventually destroyed themselves. Watch your mouth, Vegeta snarled, his aura flaring blue as he instinctively powered up. Goku put a restraining hand on Vegeta's shoulder. We didn't come here to fight, Vegeta. Speak for yourself, Vegeta muttered, but he allowed his aura to subside. Goku turned back to Nexus. Look, I understand you're worried about this copying ability. But I've spent my whole life working hard to get stronger the traditional way. This new ability doesn't change who I am. You truly believe that, Nexus observed, his multiple eyes studying Goku intently. Interesting. Most power thieves recognize their own corruption. I'm not a thief, Goku insisted. When I copy someone's technique, I'm honoring their creativity, not stealing from them. For the first time, Nexus seemed to hesitate. The patterns on his skin shifted into new configurations as he considered Goku's words. Perhaps. He began, but was interrupted by another originator emerging from the ship behind him. Lord Nexus, the new arrival said urgently. We've completed our analysis of the Scion's energy signature. The corruption is more advanced than we initially believed. He has already copied dozens of unique techniques. Nexus's momentary openness vanished, replaced by renewed determination. I see. Then there is no alternative. He turned back to Goku. You will surrender yourself for purification. If you resist, we will be forced to subdue you. And if I refuse? Goku asked, his friendly demeanor giving way to seriousness. Then we will take you by force, Nexus declared. And if your planet harbors your corruption, it too must be cleansed. That's not happening, Vegeta stated flatly. If you want him, you'll have to go through me. And me, Goku added, dropping into a fighting stance. I won't let you threaten Earth. Nexus raised a 6-fingered hand, and energy began to coalesce around him. So be it. You have chosen the hard path. Before either Scion could react, Nexus made a sweeping gesture. The space around them distorted, and suddenly they were no longer near the ships but inside what appeared to be a massive crystalline arena. Hundreds of originators watched from tiered seating, their patterns glowing with anticipation. What the? Vegeta looked around in confusion. Did he just teleport an entire arena around us? I think he teleported us to the arena, Goku corrected, equally surprised. That's some technique. Nexus appeared before them, now dressed in ceremonial armor that amplified the glowing patterns across his body. Behold, the power thieves who dare to corrupt our sacred traditions. Today, they face judgment in the trial of purity. The assembled originators raised their voices in a harmonic chant that reverberated through the crystal structure. I think diplomacy just failed, Vegeta commented dryly. Goku nodded. Looks that way. Any ideas? Just one. Vegeta's aura exploded around him as he transformed into Super Saiyan Blue. We show these self-righteous aliens what true Saiyan power looks like. Goku grinned, his own golden aura flaring as he matched Vegeta's transformation. Works for me. Nexus raised his hand, and the arena floor shifted beneath them, forming multiple terraced levels connected by crystalline bridges. The trial begins now. Prove your worth, if you can. At his signal, a dozen originator warriors teleported into the arena, surrounding Goku and Vegeta. Unlike the scouts they'd faced on Earth, these warriors were clearly elite fighters, their armor and weapons humming with power. I'll take the left side, you take the right. Goku suggested. Vegeta smirked. Try to keep up, Kakarot. The originators attacked simultaneously, each one using a different technique. Energy spears, gravity manipulation, time dilation fields, the variety and complexity of their attacks was unlike anything the Saiyans had faced before. Goku dodged and weaved through the assault, instinctively trying to copy some of their movements. Just as before, when he attempted to replicate an originator technique, painful feedback surged through his mind. Arg! He clutched his head momentarily. I still can't copy their techniques. Then fight with your own. Vegeta shouted as he sent an originator flying with a perfectly executed final flash. Goku nodded and switched tactics. Instead of trying to copy, he relied on his extensive arsenal of original and previously copied techniques. He unleashed a Kamehameha that swept through 3 originators, followed by Krillin's solar flare to blind 2 more. But each time he used a copied technique, Nexus's eyes narrowed, and the patterns on his skin pulsed with disapproval. Every stolen technique you use only proves our point, power thief. Nexus called from his elevated position. You have no style of your own, only techniques borrowed from others. The accusation stung more than Goku expected. Was that true? Had he become over-reliant on his new copying ability? His momentary distraction cost him as an originator's crystal blade sliced across his arm, drawing blood. Goku hissed in pain but countered with a swift kick that sent his attacker crashing into a crystal pillar. Meanwhile, Vegeta was fighting with ruthless efficiency, using only his own techniques, Final Flash, Gallic Gun, Big Bang Attack. Each move bore his distinctive style and power. What's wrong, Kakarot? Vegeta called out, noticing Goku's hesitation. Forgotten how to fight without copying? That taunt hit home. Goku's expression hardened as he centered himself. He had been a fighter long before this copying ability. It was time to remember that. With renewed focus, Goku stopped trying to copy or use copied techniques. Instead, he returned to his fundamental turtle school style combined with the instinctive Saiyan combat reflexes he'd honed over a lifetime. His movements became more fluid, more natural, and more effective. The originators, who had been anticipating copied techniques they could counter, suddenly found themselves facing an original fighting style they couldn't predict. Goku moved through them like water, his attacks precise and powerful. Vegeta noticed the change and nodded in approval. Now that's more like it. Together, the two Saiyans began to turn the tide, their combined assault overwhelming the originator warriors. Despite the aliens' exotic techniques and weapons, they couldn't match the raw power and combat experience of Goku and Vegeta. As the last warrior fell, Goku and Vegeta stood back-to-back in the center of the arena, breathing heavily but undefeated. Is that all you've got? Vegeta called up to Nexus. The originator leader's expression remained Impassive, but the patterns on his skin had shifted to a deeper hue. Impressive. You've passed the first trial. He gestured, and the fallen warriors vanished from the arena. But physical prowess is only the beginning. The crystal floor beneath them suddenly became transparent, revealing what appeared to be an infinitely deep abyss filled with swirling energy patterns. The trial of mind awaits, Nexus announced. Let us see how your copied techniques serve you when reality itself becomes fluid. Before either scion could respond, the floor dissolved beneath them, and they plunged into the abyss. Goku found himself standing in the hyperbolic time chamber, or what appeared to be it. The familiar endless white expanse stretched before him, but something felt wrong. The gravity fluctuated unpredictably, and the air itself seemed to shimmer with strange energy. Vegeta, he called out, but his voice echoed strangely, with no response. He cannot hear you, came Nexus's voice from everywhere and nowhere. Each of you faces your own trial now. A figure appeared in the distance, walking toward Goku with familiar spiky hair. As it drew closer, Goku realized with shock that he was looking at himself, or rather, a perfect copy. What's this supposed to be? Goku asked, confused. This is the reflection of your stolen power, Nexus explained. Every technique you have copied now stands against you. Let us see if the thief can defeat his own theft. The copy Goku smirked in a way the real Goku never would, then launched into an attack using Piccolo's Hellzone grenade. Energy spheres surrounded the real Goku, converging from all angles. Goku dodged and deflected them, only for his copy to follow up with Tien's multiform, splitting into 4 identical attackers. This is what you have become, Nexus's voice echoed. A collection of other people's techniques, with nothing truly your own. That's not true. Goku protested as he defended against his copies. I learn from others, but I make techniques my own when I use them. Do you? Challenged Nexus. Or do you simply accumulate power without understanding its essence? The copies attacked relentlessly, using every technique Goku had ever copied against him. Krillin's Destructo Disc, Master Roshi's Thunder Shock Surprise, even Whis' Celestial Echo, all executed flawlessly, but with a cold precision lacking Goku's usual warmth and creativity. As the battle intensified, Goku found himself pushed to his limits. Each copied technique was used with perfect technical execution, often better than Goku himself could manage. It was as if the copies knew the techniques more intimately than he did. This is what copying without understanding creates, Nexus continued. Perfect execution without soul. Is this what you wish to become? Goku narrowly avoided a special beam cannon that would have pierced his heart, only to be caught in Yamcha's Wolf Fong fist combination. As he took hit after hit, a realization began to dawn on him. His copies were using the techniques perfectly, too perfectly. They lacked the adaptations and personal touches Goku naturally applied when using these moves. That's it, Goku murmured. I don't just copy, I adapt. With renewed determination, Goku stopped trying to counter technique with technique. Instead, he focused on the fundamental principles he'd learned throughout his life, the lessons from Master Roshi, King Kai, Whis, and countless battles. When a copy fired Vegeta's final flash, Goku didn't dodge or block, he moved into the attack at an angle, redirecting its energy rather than opposing it directly. When another used Tien's solar flare, Goku closed his eyes and fought by sensing energy rather than sight. Interesting, Nexus observed. You're not using copied techniques to counter. Because that's not who I am, Goku replied as he methodically dismantled his copies. I don't just copy techniques, I learn from them. Every technique I've seen has taught me something about ki, about movement, about fighting. The copying is just a shortcut to understanding. As Goku embraced this realization, the tide of battle turned. His copies, for all their technical perfection, couldn't adapt or innovate. They were hollow reflections, perfect replicas without the spark of creativity that made Goku who he was. One by one, Goku defeated his copies not by overpowering them but by outthinking them. He used the environment, manipulated their predictability, and combined fundamental principles in ways the copies couldn't anticipate. As the last copy dissolved into particles of light, the hyperbolic time chamber faded around him, and Goku found himself back in the crystal arena. Vegeta was already there, looking battered but triumphant. "What took you so long?" Vegeta smirked. "Had to figure some stuff out," Goku replied with a grin. "What did you face?" "My own pride," Vegeta said cryptically. "It was educational." Nexus descended to stand before them, his expression unreadable but the patterns on his skin flowing in complex new arrangements. "You have both passed the trial of mind," he acknowledged. "Few have done so. Does that mean we can go home now?" Goku asked hopefully. "No," Nexus replied. "One trial remains, the most important of all." With a gesture, the arena transformed once more. This time, it became a perfect mirror of the tournament platform from Capsule Corp, down to the last detail. "The trial of spirit," Nexus announced. "To truly understand the sanctity of technique, you must face me directly." The originator leader removed his ceremonial armor, revealing a body covered entirely in the glowing pattern script of his people. As he stepped onto the platform, his 6 eyes focused intently on Goku. "Power thief," he addressed Goku formally. "You have shown unexpected depth. Now demonstrate whether your spirit is worthy of the power you have taken." "I'm ready," Goku said, moving to the opposite side of the platform. "But I want to know something first. What happened to make you hate copying abilities so much? This feels personal." For a moment, Nexus's patterns faltered, revealing genuine emotion beneath his stoic exterior. "It is personal," he admitted. "Eons ago, another with the mimic ability came to our world. We welcomed him, taught him our ways, shared our techniques. He was called Cypher." Nexus's eyes dimmed with ancient pain. "Cypher copied every technique our people had developed over thousands of years. Then he used our own methods against us, devastating our civilization and stealing our most sacred knowledge. I am the last of my original bloodline because of him. I'm sorry that happened," Goku said sincerely. "But I'm not Cypher." "Perhaps not in intent," Nexus conceded. "But the mimic ability corrupts eventually. All who possess it succumb to its temptation, the easy power, the shortcut to strength that others work lifetimes to achieve." "I won't," Goku stated with quiet confidence. "That's not who I am." "Prove it," Nexus challenged, dropping into a fighting stance unlike any Goku had seen before. "Face me without your stolen techniques. Show me your true spirit." Vegeta stepped back to the edge of the platform, arms crossed. "Don't embarrass yourself, Kakarot." Goku nodded, then focused on Nexus. The originator leader was clearly powerful, his energy signature was unlike anything Goku had sensed before, complex and multifaceted. This would be no easy battle. "Begin," Nexus declared. The originator moved with astonishing speed, closing the distance between them instantly. His attack pattern was completely unpredictable, punches and kicks flowing from angles Goku couldn't anticipate. Each strike carried energy that disrupted Goku's ki on contact. Goku defended as best he could, but Nexus was overwhelming him with techniques he'd never seen. Instinctively, he tried to copy some of the movements, only to be met with that same painful feedback. "You cannot copy my techniques, power thief," Nexus stated as he landed a powerful blow to Goku's sternum. "I have locked them against your ability." Goku stumbled back, gasping for breath. "That's quite a trick." "It is no trick. It is the anti-mimic lock, developed specifically to counter beings like you." Nexus pressed his advantage, his limbs seemingly multiplying as he attacked from all sides simultaneously. Goku transformed into Super Saiyan Blue to keep up, the godly ki enhancing his speed and power. Even so, Nexus matched him move for move, neither gaining a decisive advantage. "Impressive," Nexus acknowledged. "Your base power is considerable. I didn't get strong just by copying," Goku replied, landing a solid counter that made Nexus slide back several feet. I've trained my whole life. Yet now you rely on shortcuts, Nexus countered, his 6 eyes glowing intensely. The temptation of the mimic ability is that it makes one forget the value of the journey. The battle escalated as both fighters pushed themselves harder. Nexus revealed more exotic techniques, energy constructs that acted independently, gravity manipulation that made parts of the platform heavier or lighter unpredictably, even brief time dilations that caused Goku to miss counterattacks by fractions of seconds. Throughout it all, Goku couldn't copy a single one of Nexus's moves. The originator's anti-mimic lock was impenetrable. Do you see now? Nexus asked during a brief lull as they circled each other. Without your copying ability, you must rely on what you have truly mastered. That is the pure path of martial arts. Goku wiped blood from his lip, considering these words. There was truth in what Nexus said. He had become somewhat reliant on copying since discovering the ability. It was so easy, so tempting to simply take techniques others had developed rather than creating his own. But that didn't make copying wrong. It was just another way to learn. You're right about one thing, Goku admitted. The journey matters. But there's more than one path. With renewed determination, Goku stopped trying to copy or counter Nexus's exotic techniques directly. Instead, he returned to his foundations, the pure martial arts he had spent a lifetime perfecting before ever gaining the ability to copy. His movements became simpler but more precise. Each block, strike, and kick flowed naturally into the next, his body moving with the instinctive grace of a true master. This wasn't about techniques anymore, it was about fundamental principles. Nexus noticed the change immediately. You're not using copied techniques. I don't need to, Goku replied, his eyes clear and focused. This is who I was before I could copy, and who I'll always be, regardless of what abilities I gain. The dynamic of the fight shifted. Though Nexus still had the advantage of his exotic techniques, Goku's mastery of the fundamentals began to close the gap. He couldn't copy the originator's moves, but he could understand the principles behind them and adapt accordingly. From the sidelines, Vegeta watched with grudging approval. He's finally fighting like a true Saiyan again. As the battle continued, something unexpected happened. Nexus attempted a complex crystalline energy attack, but for the first time, his execution faltered slightly. The patterns on his skin flickered as if his concentration had slipped. Goku seized the opening, landing a clean hit that sent Nexus staggering backward. The originator recovered quickly, but his patterns were shifting rapidly now, betraying inner turmoil. Your spirit is, not what I expected, Nexus admitted, his voice less certain than before. What did you expect? Goku asked, maintaining his guard. Arrogance. Reliance on stolen power. A disregard for the sanctity of technique. Nexus straightened, studying Goku with all 6 eyes. Instead, I find respect, adaptation, and a core of pure technique beneath the copying ability. I told you I'm not this cipher guy, Goku said. I love martial arts too much to disrespect it. Nexus was silent for a long moment, the patterns on his skin flowing through complex sequences as if he was deep in thought. Finally, he straightened and made a formal gesture with his 6-fingered hands. The trial of spirit is complete, he declared. You have demonstrated that your copying ability does not define your martial spirit. The watching originators murmured among themselves, their harmonics creating an eerie resonance throughout the arena. Does this mean we can go home? Goku asked cautiously. Not yet, Nexus replied. There is one final test, not of combat, but of choice. With a gesture, Nexus created a crystalline orb that floated between them, pulsing with energy. This is the prism of purification, he explained. It can remove your mimic ability permanently, returning you to your natural state. The choice is yours, keep your copying power and be forever watched by the originators, or relinquish it and be free of our scrutiny. Goku stared at the orb, taken aback by the offer. You're giving me a choice. Your spirit has earned that much, Nexus acknowledged. But know that if you keep the mimic ability and ever use it for destruction or domination, we will return, and we will not offer choices then. Vegeta stepped forward. Don't be a fool, Kakarot. This copying ability gives you an advantage even I can't match. Only an idiot would give that up voluntarily. Goku looked from Vegeta to Nexus, then back at the glowing orb. The decision seemed obvious on the surface. Why would he give up such a useful ability? With copying, he could learn any technique instantly, becoming ever stronger without the usual time investment. And yet, the journey matters, Goku murmured, echoing Nexus's earlier words. He thought of how it had felt to master the Kamehameha for the first time, the satisfaction of finally perfecting instant transmission after struggling with it, the pride of developing Kaioken through King Kai's training. Each technique represented not just power, but growth, lessons learned, obstacles overcome. Copying was easier, but was it better? I've been thinking about this wrong, Goku realized aloud. Copying isn't just a shortcut to power, it's a different way of understanding techniques. When I copy a move, I feel how the energy flows, how the body should align. I learn things that might take years to figure out otherwise. He looked directly at Nexus. But you're right that there's value in the journey. So here's my answer, I want to keep the copying ability, but use it as a learning tool, not a replacement for training. Nexus's patterns pulsed with surprise. You would willingly limit a power that gives you such advantage? It's not about advantages, Goku explained. It's about becoming the best martial artist I can be. Sometimes that means taking the longer path. For the first time, Nexus's expression softened. In all my centuries hunting power thieves, I have never heard such wisdom from one with the mimic ability. The prism of purification dissolved into particles of light. Your choice is made, and your trial is complete. You may return to your world, son Goku. Wait, Goku said. I want to understand your techniques better, not to copy them, but to learn from them. Your anti-mimic lock is amazing, and those crystal energy constructs are unlike anything I've seen. Nexus seemed genuinely surprised by the request. You wish to learn our ways traditionally? That would take years of dedicated study. I've got time, Goku grinned. Maybe not years right now, but I could visit. Or you could send a teacher to Earth. The originator leader considered this for a long moment. Perhaps there is wisdom in cultural exchange. Our isolation has made us rigid in our thinking. He turned to address the watching originators. The trial is concluded. The Saiyan son Goku has proven himself worthy of respect. He will not be purified, but welcomed as a student of the ancient ways. The announcement caused a stir among the spectators, with some clearly approving while others seemed uncertain or disapproving. Vegeta stepped forward, scowling. What about me? I passed your trials too. Nexus regarded him with his multiple eyes. Yes, Prince of Science. Your pride in your own techniques is admirable. You too would be welcomed as a student, if you can set aside your royal arrogance long enough to learn. Humph. Vegeta crossed his arms but couldn't quite hide his interest. Perhaps. If there's anything worth learning. I assure you, Nexus replied dryly, our civilization had mastered energy manipulation when Saiyans were still throwing rocks at each other. Goku laughed, clapping Vegeta on the shoulder. Sounds like a challenge to me. What do you say, Vegeta? Want to learn some new techniques the old-fashioned way? Vegeta shrugged off Goku's hand but nodded curtly. Fine. But only because I refuse to let you gain any advantage over me, Kakarot. Nexus made a complex gesture, and a shimmering portal appeared. This will return you to your planet. I will contact you when arrangements for training have been made. Thanks, Nexus, Goku said sincerely. And I promise I'll use this copying ability responsibly. See that you do, the originator replied solemnly. For we will be watching. As Goku and Vegeta stepped toward the portal, Nexus added one final comment: "You have changed my perspective, son Goku. Perhaps there is more than one pure path in martial arts." This is an uncomfortable revelation after eons of certainty. Goku smiled. Sometimes the best growth comes from being uncomfortable. That's something I've learned from all my training. With a final nod to Nexus, Goku and Vegeta stepped through the portal, leaving the crystal arena behind. They materialized in Bulma's workshop exactly where they had left, though it was now night on Earth. The entire group was still there, looking tense and worried. "Goku! Vegeta!" Bulma exclaimed, rushing forward. "It's been hours. What happened? The communication cut out as soon as you disappeared." Before either could answer, Whis tapped his staff on the floor. "I believe they have had quite the adventure with the originators. And from the subtle changes in their energy signatures, it was quite educational." Goku laughed, rubbing the back of his head. "You could say that. We had to go through these trials, and fight Nexus, and then I had to decide whether to keep my copying ability or not." "You didn't give it up, did you?" Krillin asked anxiously. "Nope. But I did promise to use it differently," Goku explained. "Less as a shortcut, more as a learning tool." "And the threat to Earth?" Piccolo inquired. "Neutralized," Vegeta stated. "The originators have accepted Kakarot's word that he won't abuse his copying power. They're even sending instructors to teach us some of their techniques. The traditional way," Goku added with a grin. "No copying allowed." Beerus yawned dramatically. "Well, that's disappointingly peaceful. I was hoping for at least a little destruction." "Sorry to disappoint you," Goku laughed. "But I think this worked out better for everyone." As the group bombarded them with questions about the originators and their world, Goku found himself reflecting on everything that had happened. The copying ability had opened his eyes to new possibilities, but it had also reminded him of what was truly important in martial arts, not just the techniques themselves, but the growth that came from learning them. "Hey, Vegeta," he said quietly while the others were distracted by Bulma's excited planning for cultural exchange. "We never did finish our tournament match." Vegeta smirked. "No, we didn't. And I still have several techniques you haven't seen yet." "Same here," Goku replied with a grin. "How about tomorrow, after we've rested? No copying allowed, just our own techniques." "Agreed," Vegeta nodded. "And Kakarot, what you did today, choosing to limit your own power for the sake of true mastery, it wasn't completely idiotic." Coming from Vegeta, that was practically effusive praise. Goku laughed and clapped him on the shoulder. "Thanks. I think we both learned something important today." "Yes," Vegeta admitted grudgingly. "Perhaps there is value in different paths to strength, so long as one's warrior spirit remains intact." As the night continued with celebration and planning, Goku found himself surprisingly content. The copying ability remained his to use, but now it felt less like a shortcut and more like a responsibility, a tool to deepen his understanding rather than bypass the journey. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new techniques to master the traditional way, and of course, another chance to test himself against Vegeta. But for now, surrounded by friends and with a new perspective on his abilities, Goku felt he had gained something far more valuable than any copied technique, a deeper appreciation for the martial arts that had shaped his life. And somewhere across the cosmos, Nexus stood in his meditation chamber, the patterns on his skin flowing in contemplation as he re-evaluated beliefs held for millennia. Perhaps there was more than one pure path after all. Chapter 3, The original spirit. Morning sunlight streamed across the mountainside as Goku faced his unusual new teacher. Prism, the originator instructor sent by Nexus, stood tall and elegant against the backdrop of Earth's wilderness, his indigo skin shimmering with luminescent patterns that shifted with his mood. Again, Prism commanded, his 4 eyes narrowed in concentration. "Feel the energy pathways before you form them." Goku wiped sweat from his brow and nodded. For 3 weeks now, he'd been training daily with the originator, learning their ancient methods without using his copying ability. The progress was frustratingly slow compared to just copying, but there was something deeply satisfying about mastering techniques the traditional way. "I think I've almost got it," Goku said, taking a deep breath and centering himself. He extended his hands, focusing intensely as crystalline energy began to form between his palms. Unlike his usual blue-white ki, this energy refracted light like a prism, splitting into multiple colors that twisted and braided together into a complex geometric pattern. "The crystalline lattice is not just about visual appearance," Prism instructed. "Each color represents a different frequency of energy. They must harmonize perfectly or, the beautiful construct between Goku's hands suddenly destabilized, the colors clashing before exploding in a burst of light that knocked Goku flat on his back. "That happens," Prism finished with a sigh. Goku lay on the grass, laughing despite his singed eyebrows. "Man, your techniques are tough. I've been at this for weeks and still can't get it right." "Because you're trying to muscle through with power rather than precision," Prism explained, helping Goku to his feet. "Our techniques require mathematical harmony, not brute force." "Math was never my strong suit," Goku admitted, dusting himself off. "Yet you grasp complex combat angles instinctively," Prism observed. "Your mind understands mathematics, you simply never learned to think of it that way." Goku scratched his head. "Maybe. But I'm starting to wonder if originator techniques just aren't right for me. Vegeta's picking them up way faster." "Prince Vegeta has an analytical mind," Prism acknowledged. "But do not underestimate your own capabilities, son Goku. Your intuitive understanding of energy is remarkable." Before Goku could respond, he sensed a familiar energy signature approaching rapidly. Looking up, he spotted Vegeta streaking across the sky, leaving a blue trail behind him. Speaking of Vegeta, Goku grinned. Vegeta landed beside them, arms crossed and face set in its usual scowl. He wore modified Saiyan armor with originator-inspired designs, a gift from Nexus after their trials. "Kakarot," he nodded curtly. "Prism." "Prince Vegeta," Prism bowed slightly. "Your energy signature indicates significant progress with the techniques." Vegeta smirked. "The prismatic array is now fully incorporated into my arsenal. Quartz sends his regards, and says you're falling behind on your own training." Prism's patterns flickered with what Goku had learned was embarrassment. "My colleague is demanding." "So what brings you here, Vegeta?" Goku asked. "Thought you were training on the other side of the world." "Bulma's called everyone to Capsule Corp," Vegeta replied. "Apparently your originator friends have detected something concerning approaching Earth." Goku's expression turned serious. "Another threat?" "Unclear. But Nexus himself is coming to discuss it." Vegeta's eyes narrowed. "Whatever it is, it's significant enough to draw his personal attention." Prism's patterns suddenly pulsed with alarm. "Lord Nexus is coming here. He hasn't left our homeworld in centuries. Must be important then," Goku concluded. He turned to Prism. "Guess we're cutting training short today." The originator nodded. "Indeed. And I must prepare for Lord Nexus's arrival. The proper protocols must be observed." As Prism teleported away in a flash of crystalline light, Goku looked at Vegeta. "Race you to Capsule Corp?" Vegeta's scowl melted into a competitive grin. "You'll lose, as usual." "We'll see about that." Goku laughed, immediately launching himself into the sky. "Cheater!" Vegeta shouted, blasting after him. As they soared through the clouds, Goku felt that familiar thrill of competition with Vegeta. Some things never changed, and he was grateful for that. These past weeks of training with the originators had been intense and often frustrating, but they'd also been enlightening. Learning techniques the traditional way gave him a deeper appreciation for the nuances that he might miss when simply copying. The originators' methods were incredibly precise, each movement and energy pattern designed to work in perfect mathematical harmony. Vegeta pulled alongside him, blue aura flaring. "What's wrong, Kakarot. Getting slow in your old age? Just warming up. Goku shot back, pouring on speed. They raced across continents, neither willing to use instant transmission and give the other an opening to claim victory. It was childish perhaps, but these simple competitions kept their Saiyan spirits alive during peacetime. As Capsule Corporation came into view, Goku spotted something unusual, a crystalline ship hovering above the compound, much smaller than the massive vessels they'd seen in orbit but unmistakably of originator design. Looks like Nexus beat us here, Goku observed as they descended. Of course he did, Vegeta replied. The originator's spatial folding technology makes your instant transmission look primitive. They landed on the lawn, where an unusual gathering had already assembled. The Z fighters were all present, Piccolo, Gohan, Krillin, Tien, and the others, along with Bulma and her family. Standing apart from them were several originators, their indigo skin and glowing patterns distinctive against the green grass. At the center stood Nexus himself, taller and more imposing than Goku remembered, his 6 eyes scanning the horizon until they locked onto the arriving Saiyans. Son Goku, Nexus's voice carried across the lawn. Prince Vegeta. I hoped you would arrive promptly. Goku approached with a friendly wave. Hey Nexus. Long time no see. What brings you to Earth? Nexus's patterns shifted subtly, what Goku now recognized as the originator equivalent of a grimace. A matter of grave concern. One I had hoped would never resurface in my lifetime. Bulma stepped forward. Now that everyone's here, perhaps we can move this discussion inside. I've prepared the conference room. That won't be necessary, Nexus replied. What I must show you cannot be contained within walls. He raised a 6-fingered hand, and the air above them shimmered. A projection appeared, a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy with a pulsing red light moving steadily toward Earth. 3 days ago, our deep space sensors detected an energy signature I had hoped never to sense again. Nexus's voice grew solemn. Cypher has returned. The assembled originators reacted visibly, their patterns fluctuating with what appeared to be shock or fear. Cypher? Piccolo asked. The power thief you mentioned before? The very same, Nexus confirmed. The being who devastated our civilization eons ago by corrupting our sacred techniques. We believed him destroyed or lost to the void between dimensions. We were wrong. So another guy with copying abilities is heading toward Earth? Krillin asked nervously. Why? What does he want? Nexus's 6 eyes turned toward Goku. He seeks what all power thieves ultimately desire, more techniques to copy, more abilities to steal. And now that Son Goku has manifested the mimic ability, Cypher has sensed a kindred energy. Whoa, hold up, Goku protested. You're saying he's coming here because of me? Precisely, Nexus nodded. Those with the mimic ability can sense one another across vast distances. Your awakened power has called to him like a beacon. Vegeta scowled. Perfect. Another mess caused by Kakarot's new ability. How dangerous is this Cypher? Gohan asked, adjusting his glasses. What are we dealing with exactly? Nexus gestured, and the galactic map was replaced by an image of a humanoid figure with pale, almost translucent skin. Unlike the originators, this being had no distinct patterns. Instead, its skin seemed to shift and change constantly, taking on different textures and colors in patches, as if unable to settle on a single form. Cypher was once like us, an originator, Nexus explained. A prodigy in energy manipulation who developed the mimic ability spontaneously. At first, we celebrated his gift, seeing it as evolution rather than corruption. His patterns darkened with old pain. We were fools. Cypher began by copying techniques from willing teachers. Then he demanded more, seeking increasingly dangerous and forbidden methods. When we refused, he took them by force. How? Piccolo asked. I thought originators could lock their techniques against copying. We developed that ability because of Cypher, Nexus corrected. Before him, we had no defense against the mimic ability. By the time we created the anti-mimic lock, he had already copied thousands of techniques, including our most devastating weapons. And he used them against you, Bulma guessed. Nexus nodded. He decimated our homeworld, stealing the life force of countless originators to fuel his power. We finally managed to drive him away, but at terrible cost. Our civilization has never fully recovered. And now he's heading here, Goku said grimly. Because of me. Yes, Nexus confirmed. But you are not to blame, son Goku. The mimic ability manifests rarely but inevitably throughout history. Cypher would have found his way here eventually. How much time do we have? Vegeta demanded. 3 days, perhaps 4, Nexus replied. He travels through folded space, but even that has limitations. And how strong is he exactly? Krillin asked, voicing what everyone was thinking. Nexus's patterns pulsed with grave intensity. Cypher has had eons to collect techniques from across the universe. His power is difficult to quantify. But I believe even your gods of destruction would find him challenging. A heavy silence fell over the group. If this threat was strong enough to concern even the originators, who possessed technology and techniques beyond most civilizations, they were in serious trouble. Well, Goku finally broke the silence with his characteristic determination. Guess we better start training then. The next morning, Goku stood atop a rocky plateau, facing Nexus. After yesterday's announcement, the originator leader had offered to personally train Goku in preparation for Cypher's arrival. Your copying ability will be both your greatest asset and your greatest vulnerability against Cypher, Nexus explained. He will attempt to overwhelm you with exotic techniques, expecting you to copy them reflexively. And that's bad because... Goku asked, stretching his arms. Because Cypher has developed corrupted techniques specifically designed to damage those who copy them, Nexus replied. If you attempt to replicate certain of his methods, it could shatter your energy pathways permanently. Goku winced. That sounds painful. It is beyond pain, Nexus said grimly. It is dissolution of the self. Which is why today, we focus not on copying, but on something far more important, recognition and resistance. For the next several hours, Nexus demonstrated various energy patterns, some safe to copy, others rigged with subtle corruptions that would backfire on anyone attempting to replicate them. Goku's task was to identify the dangerous ones without trying to copy them, a challenge that required intense concentration. This is harder than it looks, Goku admitted after misidentifying a pattern and receiving a mild shock as punishment. They all just look like techniques to me. Because you are observing with your eyes, Nexus replied. You must sense with your spirit. The corruption leaves traces, disharmonies in the energy flow. Goku closed his eyes, focusing on feeling rather than seeing. When Nexus formed the next pattern, Goku extended his senses, letting the energy wash over him without attempting to grasp it. There, he said suddenly. It's like a snag in the flow. Like the energy doubles back on itself where it shouldn't. Excellent. Nexus's patterns brightened with approval. That is precisely what you must look for. Cypher will disguise these disharmonies, but they are always present in corrupted techniques. As they continued training, Goku began to recognize the subtle signs more consistently. By midday, he could identify most corrupted patterns without hesitation. You learn quickly when properly motivated, Nexus observed. Now for the second phase, developing your resistance. Resistance? To the temptation of copying, Nexus clarified. When facing Cypher, you must decide in split seconds whether to copy a technique or resist it. This requires discipline. The afternoon session was even more grueling. Nexus would attack with dazzling techniques, some safe, others corrupted, forcing Goku to make instant decisions while defending himself. Each mistake resulted in painful feedback that left his muscles twitching and key pathways burning. By sunset, Goku collapsed onto a rock, exhausted but satisfied with his progress. I think I'm getting it, he panted. But man, fighting without copying at all is going to be tough against someone with thousands of techniques. You misunderstand, Nexus said, sitting cross-legged opposite him. The goal is not to avoid copying entirely. Your mimic ability is a tool, neither inherently corrupt nor pure. The wisdom lies in knowing when to use it. Goku nodded thoughtfully. Copy the safe techniques, avoid the corrupted ones. Precisely. But there is a third path as well, one I believe you are uniquely suited to explore. What's that? Nexus's patterns formed complex sequences as he considered his words carefully. In all my centuries hunting power thieves, I have observed that the truly dangerous ones merely collect techniques without understanding them. They possess libraries of stolen power but create nothing of their own. And the not-so-dangerous ones? Goku asked. They are rare, Nexus admitted. But occasionally, one with the mimic ability transcends mere copying. They synthesize what they have learned into something new, something that could not exist without the unique perspective their ability provides. Goku leaned forward, intrigued. You're saying I should create my own technique? I mean, I've done that before, the spirit bomb, the dragon fist. No, Nexus interrupted. I am suggesting something more profound. Not simply a new application of ki, but a fundamental innovation that could only come from one who has experienced many different energy systems firsthand. You've lost me, Goku admitted. Consider this, Nexus explained patiently. You have copied techniques from humans, Namekians, gods, and now originators. Each race manipulates ki differently, with unique strengths and limitations. What if there were a way to transcend those limitations? To create something that draws from all traditions yet belongs to none of them? Goku's eyes widened as understanding dawned. A completely original energy system. Yes, Nexus nodded. Something Cypher cannot copy because it has no precedent, a technique born from your unique journey across multiple martial traditions. But I wouldn't even know where to start, Goku protested. That, Nexus said, rising to his feet, is precisely why we will continue training tomorrow. Rest now. Your mind must process what it has learned today. As Nexus teleported away in a flash of crystalline light, Goku remained seated on the rock, watching the stars emerge in the darkening sky. The concept Nexus had proposed was mind-boggling yet exciting. Not just a new technique, but an entirely new approach to energy manipulation. Could he really create something so fundamental? Something that drew from everything he'd learned yet transcended all of it. For the first time since discovering his copying ability, Goku felt a different kind of challenge calling to him, not the challenge of mastering what others had created, but of creating something that had never existed before. With that thought still turning in his mind, he pressed 2 fingers to his forehead and vanished, heading home for a well-deserved meal and rest. At Capsule Corporation, Vegeta trained in the reinforced gravity chamber, now modified with originator crystal technology that could simulate not just increased gravity but altered physical laws. Currently, energy moved in nonlinear patterns within the chamber, requiring precise calculations to direct even simple ki blasts. 98, 99, 100. Vegeta counted through gritted teeth as he completed a set of one-handed push-ups at 600 times Earth's gravity while maintaining a complex prismatic array around his body. The door hissed open, and Bulma appeared on the monitor. Vegeta, you have a visitor. I'm busy, he snapped, moving into a series of rapid kata without breaking his energy construct. It's Nexus, Bulma replied. He says it's important. Vegeta paused mid-movement, then sighed and released his techniques. Fine. Give me a minute. After shutting down the chamber and toweling off, Vegeta found Nexus waiting in Bulma's lab, studying the various inventions with his 6 eyes. Your mate's technology is remarkably advanced for this world, Nexus observed without turning around. She's brilliant, even by originator standards, Vegeta agreed. What do you want? I was in the middle of training. Nexus turned to face him. I've been monitoring your progress with our techniques. Your mastery of the prismatic array is impressive. Get to the point, Vegeta said impatiently. You didn't come here to compliment me. Direct as always, Nexus's patterns shifted in what might have been amusement. Very well. I believe you may be key to defeating Cypher. That caught Vegeta's attention. How so? Cypher will expect to face Son Goku, another with the mimic ability. He will come prepared for that confrontation with corrupted techniques designed to trap a copyist. Nexus stepped closer. But you, Prince Vegeta, are something he will not anticipate. A warrior who relies on his own power rather than stolen techniques, Vegeta surmised. Precisely. Moreover, you have developed abilities specifically designed to be difficult to copy, techniques that require not just observation but fundamental understanding. Vegeta crossed his arms. I created those to counter Kakarot, not this Cypher. Yet they may prove even more effective against our ancient enemy, Nexus replied. Cypher relies on copying. When faced with techniques that resist replication, he becomes frustrated. Careless. You want to use me as bait, Vegeta realized. Draw him in with techniques he can't copy, make him lose his composure. A crude but accurate assessment, Nexus acknowledged. While Son Goku develops his resistance to corrupted techniques, you could develop more methods specifically designed to be copy-resistant. Vegeta's lips curved into a predatory smile. I've already been working on several. The mathematical complexities make them nearly impossible to replicate without years of study. Excellent. But I would propose taking this concept further. Nexus's patterns shifted to configurations Vegeta hadn't seen before. What if you could not only prevent copying but punish the attempt? Go on, Vegeta said, his interest thoroughly piqued. Our anti-mimic lock prevents copying. But there exists a more aggressive variation, one we rarely use due to its potentially lethal consequences. Nexus raised a six-fingered hand, creating a complex energy construct. The counter-mimic trap. When someone attempts to copy this energy pattern, it creates a feedback loop in their key system, damaging them in the process, Vegeta concluded. That could be useful. It is also dangerous, Nexus warned. And requires exceptional precision. One miscalculation could cause the trap to backfire on its creator. Vegeta scoffed. I don't make miscalculations. Show me this counter-mimic trap. As Nexus began demonstrating the complex technique, Vegeta watched with intense concentration. Unlike Kakarot with his new copying shortcut, Vegeta had always learned techniques the hard way, through rigorous study and practice. This would be no different. And if mastering this technique gave him an edge against both Cypher and eventually Kakarot, all the better. Meanwhile, deep in the mountains, Piccolo meditated alongside Gohan and the other Z fighters. After learning of Cypher's approach, they had established a training camp away from populated areas where they could prepare without restraint. Focus on adaptability, Piccolo instructed as they floated cross-legged above a waterfall. From what Nexus has told us, Cypher will use thousands of different techniques. We need to be ready to counter anything. But how do we prepare for techniques we've never seen? Krillin asked, his concentration wavering slightly. By understanding principles rather than specific moves, Gohan answered. Every technique, no matter how exotic, follows basic energy laws. If we can recognize those patterns quickly, we can respond appropriately. Piccolo nodded in approval. Exactly. Cypher's advantage is variety. Ours must be analysis and response time. As they continued their meditation, focusing on rapidly identifying and countering various energy signatures, Piccolo couldn't help but feel concern. Despite their preparations, they were facing an enemy of unprecedented experience and ability. Even with Goku's copying power and Vegeta's mathematical precision, this would be their most challenging battle yet. But there was something else bothering him, something about this situation that didn't quite add up. Gohan, he said after they had finished their session. What do you make of Nexus's story about Cypher? Gohan wiped sweat from his brow. It seemed straightforward. An originator who went rogue, abused his copying ability, and nearly destroyed their civilization. Yes, but think about the timeline, Piccolo pressed. Nexus said this happened eons ago. Yet Cypher is still alive and apparently unchanged in power and purpose after all this time. Gohan's eyes narrowed in thought. That is strange. Even Frisia's race, with their longevity, don't live 4 eons. And why would Cypher suddenly return now, just when Dad develops the same ability? Exactly, Piccolo nodded. The coincidence is too perfect. You think Nexus isn't telling us everything? I think there's more to this story than a simple rogue originator, Piccolo replied. I've been studying their patterns, the way they glow and shift. They're a form of communication among themselves, more nuanced than speech. And? Gohan prompted. And whenever Nexus discusses Cypher, his patterns show something beyond fear or hatred. There's recognition. Personal connection. Piccolo crossed his arms. I think Nexus and Cypher have a deeper history than he's admitted. Gohan considered this. Should we confront him about it? Not yet, Piccolo decided. For now, we continue preparing. But keep your guard up, not just for Cypher, but for any surprises from our originator allies as well. Gohan nodded soberly. As a scholar as well as a warrior, he understood that histories were often more complex than the stories people chose to tell about them. Whatever the full truth about Nexus and Cypher might be, they would need to be ready for it. 2 days later, Goku floated cross-legged above the lookout, deep in meditation. Around him, the air shimmered with traces of energy as he attempted something he'd never tried before, creating an entirely new energy system. Dend watched from a distance, fascinated by the process. Unlike normal key manipulation, which produced visible auras or constructs, this work happened mostly on an invisible, conceptual level. Occasionally, strange patterns would flicker into existence around Goku, part Scion Ki, part Namekian energy, part godly power, part originator crystal constructs, before dissolving back into potentiality. How long has he been at it? Piccolo asked, landing silently beside Dend. Almost 18 hours, the young guardian replied. He hasn't moved, eaten, or even seemed to breathe normally. I've never seen him so focused. Piccolo nodded, impressed despite himself. Typical Goku. When most people would be panicking about an imminent threat, he sees it as an opportunity to break new ground. Do you think he'll succeed? Creating an entirely new energy system seems impossible. If anyone can do the impossible, it's him, Piccolo admitted. But even for Goku, this is uncharted territory. As they watched, the flickering energies around Goku suddenly intensified, coalescing into more stable forms before dissipating again. His brow furrowed in concentration, sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool air. He's close to something, Dend observed. I can feel it. Just then, a flash of crystalline light announced Nexus's arrival. The originator leader materialized on the lookout, his patterns pulsing rapidly. How long has he been in this state? Nexus asked without preamble. Almost a full day, Piccolo replied. Is that normal for this kind of work? There is no normal for what he attempts, Nexus said. No being in recorded history has successfully created a fundamental energy system from scratch. Many have tried. All have failed. Then why encourage him to try? Piccolo asked pointedly. If it's impossible, we're wasting valuable preparation time. Nexus's 6 eyes studied Piccolo carefully. You are perceptive, Namekian. Yes, there is purpose beyond the attempt itself. Whether Son Goku succeeds or fails, the process is changing him. Changing him how? Dend asked, concerned. His energy pathways are being reconfigured by the very attempt, Nexus explained. Even in failure, he will emerge with a deeper understanding of energy manipulation than any copyist before. Him. This may be crucial when facing Cypher. Before Piccolo could press further, a sudden pulse of power from Goku drew everyone's attention. The Scion's eyes had snapped open, glowing with an inner light that was neither the blue of his godly ki nor the silver of Ultra Instinct, but something entirely new, a shifting, prismatic radiance that seemed to contain all colors at once. I felt something, Goku said, his voice oddly resonant. Like, touching the edge of something huge. What did you see? Nexus asked intently. Not see exactly, Goku replied, descending slowly to the lookout surface. More like, understood. For a second, I could feel how all the different energy systems connect. Scion, Namekian, human, divine, originator, they're all just different languages describing the same fundamental force. This is unexpected progress, Nexus's patterns flickered rapidly. Did you manage to formulate a new system? Goku shook his head, the strange light fading from his eyes. Not yet. But I glimpsed the possibility. I need more time. Time we don't have, came Vegeta's voice as he landed on the lookout, arms crossed. Cypher's ship has accelerated. Bulma's sensors detected it entering our solar system an hour ago. What? Goku's eyes widened. But we thought we had at least another day. He must have sensed your energy experiments, Nexus said grimly. The closer you came to breakthrough, the more distinctive your energy signature would become to another with the mimic ability. So my training actually made things worse, Goku concluded, frustration evident in his voice. Not necessarily, Nexus countered. You've made more progress than I anticipated. Perhaps not enough for a complete new system, but your understanding has evolved significantly. It'll have to be enough, Piccolo said. How long until Cypher reaches Earth? Vegeta's expression was grim. 3 hours, maybe 4. A heavy silence fell over the group as the reality of their situation sank in. Their time for preparation had run out. We should gather everyone, Den suggested. If this Cypher is as dangerous as you say, we'll need all our fighters ready. Nexus nodded in agreement. I will summon my originator warriors as well. Though I fear even our combined forces may struggle against what Cypher has become. As the others moved to make preparations, Goku remained standing at the edge of the lookout, gazing out at the blue sky that would soon bring their new enemy. Don't worry so much, Vegeta said, coming to stand beside him. We've faced worse odds before. Have we? Goku asked seriously. An enemy who can copy any technique, who knows how to corrupt energy itself, and who has had thousands of years to perfect his abilities. That's a new one, even for us. Vegeta smirked. Getting cold feet, Kakarot. That's not like you. Not cold feet, Goku clarified. Just wishing I had more time to finish what I started. I was so close to something big, Vegeta. Something that could have changed everything. Save your regrets for after we win, Vegeta replied. Focus on what you can do now, not what you might have done with more time. Goku glanced at his rival with a small smile. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise, you've just been too stupid to notice, Vegeta shot back, but there was no real bite to his words. Goku laughed, some of his characteristic optimism returning. Fair enough. I guess we'll just have to beat Cypher the old-fashioned way, by hitting him really, really hard. Now you're talking like a scion, Vegeta approved. Come on. We have a reception to prepare for our uninvited guest. As they turned to join the others, neither noticed the subtle shift in the sky above, a barely perceptible distortion, as if space itself was being folded by an unseen hand. Cypher had arrived. The Z fighters assembled at a remote plateau, chosen for its distance from populated areas. If this battle was going to be as destructive as they feared, minimizing collateral damage was essential. Goku stood at the front of their formation, with Vegeta and Gohan flanking him. Behind them, Piccolo, Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, Android 17 and 18, and even Majin Buu had answered the call. To their right, a contingent of originator warriors led by Nexus formed a disciplined phalanx, their crystalline weapons and armor gleaming in the sunlight. "I don't like this," Piccolo muttered. "Something feels wrong." "You sense it too?" Gohan asked quietly. "There's a disturbance in the energy around us, but I can't pinpoint it." Before they could discuss it further, the air above them rippled and tore open. Unlike the neat, precise spatial folding the originators used, this portal looked ragged, as if reality had been forcibly ripped apart. Through the opening came a single figure, descending slowly to hover above the assembled warriors. Cypher looked both exactly like and nothing like his image. His form seemed to constantly shift and flow, parts of his body taking on different textures, colors, and even shapes, as if he couldn't decide on a single appearance. Where his face should have been, a swirling vortex of energy obscured his features, occasionally forming momentary expressions before dissolving again. So many welcoming faces, Cypher's voice was oddly melodic, containing multiple harmonics that made it sound like several people speaking in perfect unison. "How thoughtful of you all to gather in one convenient location." "Cypher." Nexus stepped forward, his patterns glowing intensely. "Your pursuit ends here. We will not allow you to corrupt another world with your stolen power." The swirling vortex where Cypher's face should be formed a brief, mocking smile. "Nexus, my old friend. Still clinging to your outdated notions of pure techniques? How disappointingly predictable." "We're not here to talk philosophy," Goku called out, stepping forward. "You came looking for me, right? Well, here I am." Cypher's attention shifted to Goku, the vortex swirling faster. "Ah, the new copyist. Yes, I sensed your awakening. Such potential, such raw talent, but so underdeveloped. You've barely scratched the surface of what the mimic ability can truly accomplish. And I'm not interested in your version of accomplishment," Goku replied firmly. "Nexus told us what you did to the originators." "Did he?" Cypher's voice took on an edge. "And did he tell you everything, I wonder? Did he explain his own role in what transpired? The true history of the mimic ability?" Nexus stepped forward, patterns flashing warning. "Do not pollute their minds with your lies, Cypher." "Lies?" Cypher laughed, the sound echoing strangely. "Or truths you've hidden for eons? Perhaps your new friends deserve to know what really happened between us." "Enough talk," Vegeta interrupted impatiently. "You came here for a fight, not a history lesson." Cypher's swirling face turned toward Vegeta, studying him. "The proud prince without the gift. How fascinating. You've developed techniques specifically resistant to copying. Clever, but ultimately futile." "We'll see about that," Vegeta growled, his aura flaring blue as he transformed into Super Saiyan Blue. "Indeed we will," Cypher agreed. Then, without warning, he moved. One moment he was hovering above them, the next he was directly in front of Vegeta, a hand on the Saiyan Prince's chest. Before anyone could react, a pulse of corrupted energy blasted Vegeta backward, sending him crashing through several rock formations. "Vegeta!" Goku shouted, immediately transforming to Super Saiyan Blue himself. "Don't copy any of his techniques," Nexus warned. "Remember your training." Goku nodded and launched himself at Cypher, throwing a direct punch charged with godly ki. Cypher merely tilted his head, the attack passing through what appeared to be solid body but encountered no resistance, as if Goku had struck an illusion. "Physical attacks." Cypher sounded almost disappointed. "How primitive." With casual ease, Cypher countered with a technique Goku recognized from Whis' training, the Celestial Echo, but corrupted with swirling darkness that made Goku's skin crawl. Remembering Nexus's warnings, Goku resisted the instinct to copy it, instead dodging and countering with his own Kamehameha. The blue beam struck Cypher directly, but instead of damaging him, it seemed to be absorbed into his shifting form. Interesting energy manipulation. Simple, but effective. I believe I'll add it to my collection. Before Goku's eyes, Cypher formed his own hands into the familiar Kamehameha position and fired back a twisted version of Goku's signature attack, darker, more chaotic, but recognizably the same technique. He copied it instantly. Krillin exclaimed in horror. And corrupted it simultaneously, Piccolo added grimly. This is what we were warned about. The corrupted Kamehameha struck the ground where Goku had been standing moments before, leaving not just destruction but a swirling vortex of unstable energy that continued to grow and consume the surrounding area. Now you begin to understand, Cypher called out as the Z fighters and originators scattered to avoid the expanding vortex. This is the true potential of the mimic ability, not just to copy, but to transform. Gohan and Piccolo attacked simultaneously from different angles, Gohan's Masenko and Piccolo's special beam cannon converging on Cypher. The being made no attempt to dodge, instead extending his arms and somehow catching both energy attacks, compressing them into a swirling sphere in his palm. Fascinating hybrid energy, Cypher commented, studying the compressed attacks like a scientist examining a specimen. Namekian and Half Saiyan. The combination creates unique resonance patterns. With a flick of his wrist, he sent the combined energy back at them, now morphed into a homing attack that pursued Gohan and Piccolo as they tried to evade. Meanwhile, Vegeta had recovered and rejoined the battle, launching into a complex sequence of prismatic array variations. The mathematical energy constructs expanded outward, attempting to trap Cypher in a cage of light. For the first time, Cypher seemed genuinely impressed. Now this is intriguing, energy patterns requiring constant calculation. A technique specifically designed to resist copying. But instead of attempting to copy it, Cypher simply reached out and touched one of the energy constructs. Instantly, the entire array began to destabilize, the mathematical harmony disrupted by whatever Cypher had introduced into the system. Mathematical precision is admirable, Cypher noted as Vegeta's technique collapsed around him. But mathematics can be corrupted by introducing irrational elements. Vegeta snarled in frustration and tried again, this time implementing the countermimic trap Nexus had taught him. The energy formed a beautiful but deadly lattice, designed to backlash against any attempt to copy it. Ah, Nexus's favorite trick, Cypher laughed. Did he not tell you? I was there when he developed it. Instead of trying to copy the trap, Cypher simply reached into its center with his bare hand. The trap activated, energy discharging violently, but instead of harming Cypher, the energy seemed to feed into him, making his form shift and expand. Thank you for the contribution, Prince, Cypher mocked. Countermimic energy is particularly nutritious. Nexus and his originator warriors finally joined the attack, their crystalline weapons firing synchronized beams of prismatic energy that converged on Cypher from all directions. For a moment, it seemed to work, Cypher's form destabilized, parts of his shifting body becoming transparent. Now, Son Goku. Nexus called out. While his defenses are compromised. Goku didn't hesitate. Drawing on his godly ki, he unleashed a powerful attack, not a copied technique, but his own dragon fist, enhanced with the divine energy of Super Saiyan Blue. The dragon-shaped energy construct roared as it tore through the air toward Cypher. For the first time, Cypher seemed genuinely concerned. He attempted to shift away, but the originator's prismatic cage held him in place just long enough for Goku's attack to connect. The impact was tremendous, sending shockwaves across the battlefield. Cypher's form exploded into thousands of energy fragments, scattered across the sky like a broken mirror. For a moment, everyone held their breath. Had it actually worked? Then, to their horror, the fragments began to recombine, flowing back together like mercury. Within seconds, Cypher reformed, his swirling face vortex now containing visible traces of draconic energy from Goku's attack. Exquisite, Cypher's voice resonated with new power. Such raw power combined with divine ki. I haven't encountered this specific combination before. Most educational. This isn't working, Piccolo growled. Every attack we throw at him just makes him stronger. He's not just copying our techniques, Gohan realized. He's absorbing and incorporating their energy directly into himself. Cypher spread his arms wide. At last, some understanding dawns. Yes, young hybrid, that is precisely what I do. The mimic ability is merely the beginning, the true evolution lies in transcending copying to become synthesis itself. Nexus stepped forward, his patterns pulsing with ancient rage. Enough of this, Cypher. Your quarrel is with me, not these people. This world is under my protection. Your protection? Cypher's voice turned cold. You dare speak of protection, after what you did? After how our people treated those with the gift? The swirling vortex of Cypher's face briefly formed a recognizable expression, not of malice, but of deep, ancient pain. Tell them, Nexus, Cypher demanded. Tell your new friends the truth about the originators and the mimic ability. Tell them what you did to your own brother. A shocked silence fell over the battlefield. The originator warriors' patterns flickered with what appeared to be confusion or dismay. Brother? Goku repeated, looking between Cypher and Nexus. What's he talking about? Nexus's patterns had dimmed to almost nothing, his 6 eyes downcast. It is complicated. It is simple. Cypher countered. We were brothers, born of the same progenitors. When the mimic ability manifested in me, I was celebrated, studied, until fear replaced fascination. Until they decided my gift was a corruption that needed to be purified. Nexus raised his head, meeting Cypher's swirling gaze. You were destroying yourself. The techniques you copied were incompatible, causing cascade failures in your energy system. We sought to save you. By stripping away my gift. Cypher's form expanded with his rage. By attempting to rewrite my very being to conform to your limited understanding of pure technique. You left us no choice. Nexus's patterns flared bright with emotion. When the purification failed, you turned violent, stealing techniques by force, absorbing the life energy of our teachers. After they tried to lobotomize me. Cypher roared, his voice shaking the ground beneath them. The Z fighters exchanged concerned glances as the family drama unfolded. This conflict clearly went much deeper than Nexus had revealed. Is this true? Goku asked Nexus directly. You tried to force the copying ability out of your own brother. Nexus's patterns dimmed again. It was a different time. We didn't understand the mimic ability as we do now. We truly believed we were saving him from corruption. By declaring me corrupt for simply being different, Cypher added bitterly. By turning our entire civilization against those with the gift. So that's why you hunt people with copying abilities, Gohan realized, looking at Nexus. Not just to protect others from them, but because of what happened with your brother. To prevent others from suffering his fate, Nexus corrected. The corruption is real, regardless of our history. Look at what he has become. Cypher laughed, the sound hollow and pained. I became what you forced me to become, brother. When you rejected me, I had to find my own path, to understand and master what you feared. Wait, Goku interrupted, stepping between them. This changes things. If you two are brothers, maybe we can fix this without fighting. Fix? Cypher echoed incredulously. There is nothing to fix, copyist. This conflict has festered for eons. I have not come to reconcile, but to reclaim. Reclaim what? Piccolo demanded. Everything that was taken from me, Cypher replied. Beginning with my brother's precious anti-mimic lock. Without warning, Cypher surged forward, faster than anyone could track. He appeared directly before Nexus, his shifting hand plunging into the originator's chest, not physically, but energetically, as if reaching into his very essence. No. Prism, one of the originator instructors, tried to intervene but was swatted away like an insect. Nexus screamed, a sound of pure agony as Cypher seemed to extract something from within him, a pulsing core of crystalline energy that contained complex, mathematical patterns. At last, Cypher breathed, absorbing the energy into himself. The source code of the anti-mimic lock. Now nothing can prevent me from copying any technique in existence. Nexus collapsed to his knees, his patterns fading to almost nothing. You don't understand what you've done, he gasped. That lock was the only thing preventing cascade failure in your system. Always the same warnings, Cypher dismissed. Always the same fear disguised as concern. He turned to face the assembled fighters, his form now pulsing with new power. Now, let us continue this delightful exchange of techniques. I have so much more to learn from all of you. Goku stepped forward, his expression unusually serious. This has gone far enough. I understand you're angry about what happened between you and your brother. But that doesn't give you the right to threaten our world. I don't threaten your world, copyist, Cypher replied. I offer it evolution. The techniques of 1,000 civilizations, the knowledge of countless masters, all synthesized into something greater than the sum of its parts. At the cost of free will, Goku countered. You're not sharing knowledge, you're taking it by force, corrupting it in the process. Corruption is merely change-resisted, Cypher said dismissively. But enough philosophy. Show me what other techniques you possess. Show me this ultra instinct I glimpsed in your energy signature. Goku's eyes widened. You know about ultra instinct? I know of all significant techniques across the cosmos, Cypher confirmed. But experiencing them directly is so much more educational. Transform for me, copyist. Show me the power of the gods. Goku glanced at his friends, then at the fallen Nexus. The originator leader looked gravely weakened, his patterns barely visible. Whatever Cypher had taken from him had caused serious damage. Everyone, buy me some time, Goku said quietly. I need to try something. What are you planning? Gohan asked. Something stupid and reckless, Goku admitted with a small smile. The usual. Without waiting for a response, Goku closed his eyes and began to concentrate. Instead of powering up conventionally, he turned his awareness inward, seeking the glimpse of understanding he'd experienced during his meditation on the lookout, that moment when all energy systems had briefly connected in his mind. Realizing what he was attempting, Vegeta stepped forward. Cover Kakarot. Whatever he's doing, he needs time. The Z fighters launched a coordinated assault on Cypher, each using their signature techniques in rapid succession. Piccolo's special beam cannon, Gohan's ultimate Kamehameha, Krillin's Destructo Disc, Vegeta's final flash, all converged on Cypher from different angles. Cypher merely laughed, absorbing or deflecting each attack with casual ease. Is this truly the best this world has to offer? I expected more from warriors who have faced gods and survived. While the others kept Cypher distracted, Goku delved deeper into his meditation. The chaos of battle faded from his awareness as he focused on the fundamental nature of energy itself. Scion Ki, raw, primal, fueled by emotion and physical strength. Namekian energy, flexible, regenerative, connected to life force. Human techniques, precise, efficient, maximizing limited resources. Divine power, transcendent, existing beyond normal dimensional constraints. Originator methods, mathematical, harmonized with universal constants. Each system had strengths and limitations. Each approached energy from a different fundamental perspective. But underneath it all, Goku sensed a common source, the same universal energy expressed through different conceptual frameworks. What if, he thought, the frameworks themselves are just different languages describing the same reality? What if I could speak all languages simultaneously? As this understanding deepened, Goku felt something shift within his energy pathways. Not the familiar surge of transformation, but something more profound, as if the very architecture of his key system was being rewritten. On the battlefield, Cypher had begun to overwhelm the combined forces of the Z fighters and remaining originators. Even Vegeta's most complex mathematical constructs were being unraveled and absorbed. Android 17's barrier techniques shattered under Cypher's corrupted energy. Gohan's ultimate form was being pushed to its limits. You cannot win through conventional means, Cypher declared as he effortlessly countered another barrage of attacks. Every technique you possess is now mine to command and corrupt. Not every technique, came Nexus's voice as he struggled to his feet, patterns flickering weakly. There is one you cannot copy, because it does not yet exist. Cypher turned toward his brother, momentary confusion visible in his swirling face vortex. What nonsense is this? Another desperate ploy. Look, Nexus pointed toward Goku. All eyes turned to the Scion, who now floated several feet above the ground, surrounded by an aura unlike anything they had ever seen. It wasn't the golden light of Super Saiyan, the blue radiance of godly ki, or the silver glow of Ultra Instinct. Instead, his aura seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, solid yet fluid, singular yet diverse, structured yet adaptable. Goku opened his eyes, which now shone with the same multi-state energy. I think I've got it, he said, his voice carrying strange harmonics similar to Cypher's. Not a new technique exactly, but a new way of understanding all techniques. Impossible, Cypher breathed, his shifting form momentarily stilling in shock. You cannot have developed a fundamental energy system in mere days. It took me centuries. I had good teachers, Goku replied simply, floating down to stand on the shattered ground. From you, actually. What? Watching you fight, seeing how you integrate different techniques, it helped me understand what I glimpsed during meditation, Goku explained. You're right about one thing, the mimic ability isn't just copying. It's about understanding energy at its most basic level. As he spoke, the unusual aura around Goku began to take more definite shape, not a standard energy field, but a complex, adaptive system that seemed to react to its surroundings, incorporating elements of the environment into its structure. What do you call this transformation? Cypher demanded, a note of genuine curiosity in his voice. Goku considered for a moment. It's not really a transformation. More like original spirit. The state where copying and creating become the same thing. Without warning, Goku moved, not with the blinding speed of Ultra Instinct, but with a strange, fluid motion that seemed to follow paths of least resistance through space itself. One moment he was standing before Cypher, the next he was behind him, a hand placed on the being's shifting back. What are you? Cypher began, but cut off with a gasp as Goku's energy began to interface directly with his own. You've been copying techniques for so long you've forgotten what it means to truly connect with energy, Goku said quietly. You take and corrupt. I'm offering something different. Through the point of contact, Goku's original spirit energy began to flow into Cypher, not attacking, not destroying, but harmonizing. Where Cypher's energy was chaotic and corrupted, Goku's adaptive system began to introduce balance. Stop this. Cypher thrashed, trying to break away. You cannot rewrite my energy without consent. That makes you no better than the purifiers. I'm not rewriting anything, Goku replied calmly. I'm just showing your energy another possibility. The choice to harmonize is yours. For a brief moment, Cypher's swirling face vortex cleared, revealing features startlingly similar to Nexus, the same indigo skin, the same structural features, but with only 2 eyes instead of 6. The face of what Cypher had once been before eons of corruption and isolation. Brother, Nexus whispered, seeing the original form revealed. Cypher's revealed face contorted with conflict, rage, pain, longing, fear, all washing across features that hadn't been seen for millennia. No, he growled. I will not be changed again. With a tremendous surge of power, Cypher broke away from Goku's touch, his form immediately reverting to its shifting, corrupted state. You nearly tricked me, he accused. Offering harmony while attempting to undo what I've become. That wasn't my intention, Goku protested. I just wanted to show you there's another way to use the mimic ability, one that doesn't require corruption or theft. There is no other way. Cypher roared. Not in this universe of limitations and boundaries. To truly transcend, one must break all constraints, including the arbitrary distinction between techniques. Cypher's form began to expand dramatically, drawing in energy from the environment as his rage intensified. The sky darkened as he pulled power from the atmosphere itself, his shifting body growing to titanic proportions. If you will not share your techniques willingly, then I will take them, all of them, from every being on this planet, he declared. And I will begin with your original spirit, copyist. From his enlarged form, tendrils of corrupted energy shot outward in all directions, seeking to drain techniques and life force indiscriminately. The Z fighters and originators scrambled to defend themselves, erecting barriers and energy shields. He's lost control, Nexus warned, his patterns pulsing with alarm. Without the anti-mimic lock to stabilize his system, the cascade failure has begun. He'll keep absorbing energy until he collapses into a singularity, taking half the planet with him. How do we stop him? Vegeta demanded. We can't, Nexus replied grimly. Not conventionally. Any energy we direct against him will only accelerate the process. Goku studied the expanding form of Cypher, his original spirit perception allowing him to see the complex energy patterns within the chaotic exterior. There, he pointed to a pulsing core within Cypher's chest. That's where all the absorbed techniques are being processed. If we could stabilize that. Impossible, Nexus shook his head. The only thing that could contain such energy is the anti-mimic lock, which he stole from me. Then we'll have to create a new one, Goku decided. Create a new. Goku, the anti-mimic lock took generations of originators to develop. Piccolo objected. We don't have generations, Goku replied. But we do have something the original creators didn't, first-hand experience with the mimic ability from the inside. He turned to Nexus. I need you to teach me the basic principles of the lock, not the technique itself, but the fundamental concept behind it. Even if I could explain it quickly enough, implementing it would require, my original spirit can. Bridge the gap, Goku interrupted. It allows me to implement concepts directly, without the usual development cycle. Nexus hesitated, then nodded. Very well. But we must hurry. While the other fighters worked to contain Cypher's expanding tendrils and protect themselves from energy drain, Nexus quickly shared the conceptual framework of the anti-mimic lock with Goku. Unlike normal instruction, this was done through direct energy transfer, Nexus placing his six-fingered hands on Goku's temples and sharing the mathematical principles directly. I understand, Goku said after absorbing the knowledge. It's not about blocking copying, it's about creating a stable closed loop that prevents energy from being corrupted when replicated. Precisely, Nexus confirmed. But implementing it requires direct contact, Goku finished for him. I need to get to that core inside him. Vegeta, who had been deflecting energy tendrils nearby, turned to Goku. That's suicide, Kakarot. The energy density around his core would disintegrate you before you got close. Not if I have help, Goku replied, looking meaningfully at Vegeta. Your prismatic array could create a pathway through his defenses, a momentary tunnel of structured energy. Vegeta understood immediately. It would need to be perfectly calculated, accounting for the chaotic fluctuations in his form. You can do it, Goku said with simple confidence. You're the best mathematician among us. Vegeta smirked despite the dire situation. Finally, some proper recognition. They quickly outlined their plan to the others. Vegeta would create a precisely calculated energy pathway using his most advanced prismatic array. Goku, using his original spirit state, would travel through this pathway to reach Cypher's core. There, he would implement the new anti-mimic lock directly. Everyone else needs to distract him, Goku instructed. Create as many different energy signatures as possible to keep his attention divided. And if this doesn't work? Piccolo asked. Goku's expression was uncharacteristically solemn. Then make sure Bulma has the Dragon Balls ready to wish back everyone on Earth. As the others moved into position, Goku turned to Vegeta. This has to be perfect, Vegeta. No pressure. Please, Vegeta scoffed. Perfection is the minimum standard for a prince. With that, the plan was set in motion. The Z fighters and originators launched a coordinated attack from all sides, using every technique in their arsenals. Piccolo and Gohan combined their energy into a spiraling helix attack. Krillin's Destructo Disc was amplified by Android 18's energy. Tien's multiform technique created 4 attackers simultaneously. The remaining originators fired crystalline weapons in complex, unpredictable patterns. The diversionary tactics worked. Cypher's attention was pulled in multiple directions as he attempted to absorb and counter the diverse energy signatures surrounding him. Now! Goku shouted. Vegeta immediately deployed his most complex prismatic array yet, a tunnel of structured energy that cut directly through Cypher's chaotic form toward his core. The mathematical precision required was beyond anything Vegeta had ever attempted, requiring constant adjustments to maintain integrity as Cypher's energy fluctuated around it. Without hesitation, Goku dove into the tunnel, his original spirit aura adapting to match the prismatic array's frequency. He moved with incredible speed, knowing the pathway would only remain stable for seconds. Inside Cypher's form was a nightmare landscape of conflicting energies, thousands of copied techniques swirling together in a maelstrom of power with no unifying principle. Goku could sense the fundamental instability Nexus had warned about. This was a system on the verge of catastrophic collapse. At the center floated the pulsing core, a compressed sphere of pure potential energy containing the essence of every technique Cypher had ever copied. And embedded within it, Goku could see the stolen anti-mimic lock, now cracked and failing. Kakarot. Vegeta's strained voice reached him. The pathway is collapsing. Whatever you're going to do it now. Goku reached the core and placed both hands directly onto it. The contact sent agony through his entire being as corrupted energy tried to invade his system. But his original spirit stayed adapted, creating interfaces where the energies could communicate without corrupting each other. I understand now, Goku whispered as insight flooded through him. Copying isn't the problem. Isolation is. With that realization, Goku didn't try to impose a new anti-mimic lock as planned. Instead, he did something far more radical. He shared his original spirit directly with Cypher's core, offering a framework where all the copied techniques could exist in harmony rather than conflict. Every technique you've ever copied, Goku communicated directly through the energy connection. They're all fighting each other because you've kept them separate from their source, from the understanding that birthed them. Techniques aren't just patterns, they're expressions of their creator's spirits. From outside, the observers saw Cypher's massive form suddenly freeze in place, tendrils of energy suspended in mid-attack. Then, slowly, his chaotic exterior began to stabilize, the shifting patterns finding rhythm and harmony. Inside, Goku maintained contact with the core, pouring his understanding into it. This is what the mimic ability is really for, not to steal techniques, but to understand them so deeply that they become part of you. Not corruption, but communion. The stolen anti-mimic lock at the center of the core began to repair itself, but in a new configuration, not a barrier against copying, but a framework for harmonious integration. As this new structure took hold, Cypher's accumulated techniques began to organize themselves, finding natural relationships and complementary functions. What are you doing to me? Cypher's voice boomed from everywhere at once. Showing you what you've been looking for all along, Goku replied calmly. Not transcendence through accumulation, but understanding through connection. This is the true evolution of the mimic ability. For a moment, it seemed to be working. Cypher's form continued to stabilize, the chaotic energy finding new balance. But then resistance surged through the connection. No. Cypher's consciousness fought back. I will not be changed against my will again. Not by originators, not by you. The core began to pulse erratically, rejecting Goku's harmonizing influence. The tunnel Vegeta had created collapsed entirely, leaving Goku trapped inside Cypher's increasingly unstable form. Outside, the others watched in horror as Cypher's massive body began to contract violently, energy discharging in random, destructive bursts. "What's happening?" Gohan shouted above the cacophony of collapsing energy. "Cypher is rejecting the harmonization," Nexus explained, his patterns pulsing with alarm. "Without it, the cascade failure will resume, but now accelerated by the partial integration." "And Kakarot is still in there," Vegeta growled, trying futilely to re-establish the energy tunnel. Inside Cypher's collapsing form, Goku found himself trapped as the harmonization unraveled around him. The core was destabilizing rapidly, threatening to collapse into a singularity that would destroy everything for miles. "It has to be your choice," Goku realized, speaking directly to Cypher's consciousness. "I can't force harmony on you any more than your brother could force purity on you. You have to want it." For a long moment, there was no response. Then, faintly, Goku sensed something, not Cypher the corrupted entity, but the original being beneath all the accumulated techniques. The brother Nexus had known, the originator who had wanted to learn and understand. "I cannot go back," this deeper consciousness communicated. "I have been this way too long. There is no returning to what I was." "I'm not asking you to go back," Goku replied. "I'm offering a way forward, a new path where all you've learned can exist in harmony instead of conflict." "And if I refuse?" "Then we both die here, along with everyone nearby," Goku said simply. "I can't escape your collapse now." Another long pause, and then, "Show me this harmony once more." Not imposed, but offered. Goku reached out again, this time not trying to implement change but simply demonstrating possibility. Through his original spirit state, he showed Cypher how energy could flow between techniques without corruption, how understanding could replace theft, how integration could replace accumulation. Slowly, hesitantly, Cypher's consciousness began to accept this vision, not surrendering to it, but exploring it. As he did, the violent contraction of his form slowed, then stopped. Outside, the observers held their breath as the destructive energy discharges ceased. Cypher's massive form had shrunk considerably but remained suspended above them, now glowing with a steady light rather than shifting chaotically. "Is it over?" Krillin asked cautiously. "No," Nexus replied, his patterns brightening with hope. "It's beginning." Within Cypher's core, a transformation was taking place. As he embraced the possibility of harmony, the corrupted techniques began to reintegrate, not as stolen fragments, but as understood principles. The core expanded, becoming less dense but more stable, radiating energy that was powerful but no longer destructive. "I see it now," Cypher's consciousness communicated to Goku. "All these centuries, I've been trying to fill a void with more and more techniques, but the void remained because each was disconnected from its source, from the understanding that gave it meaning. That's why copying alone is never enough," Goku agreed. "Without understanding, techniques are just empty movements." The core continued to transform, and with it, Cypher's entire being. The accumulated techniques weren't lost but reorganized, finding their natural places within a coherent whole rather than fighting for dominance. Outside, Cypher's form began to take on a new appearance, still fluid and changing, but now with purpose rather than chaos. The swirling vortex where his face had been settled into definite features, recognizably related to Nexus, but with his own distinct characteristics. Slowly, the transformed Cypher descended to the ground, Goku emerging from within him as the boundaries between them re-established themselves. Goku staggered slightly as he readjusted to normal space, his original spirit aura still flowing around him but less intensely than before. Cypher now stood before them, his form stabilized into something that combined elements of his original originator appearance with aspects of the many beings whose techniques he had copied. His eyes, too, like a normal originator rather than Nexus's 6, regarded them all with new clarity. "What happened to me?" he asked, his voice no longer carrying multiple harmonics but speaking with a single, clear tone. Nexus approached cautiously, his patterns expressing wonder and disbelief. "Cypher. Is it truly you? Cypher turned to his brother, recognition flowing across his features. Nexus. I remember everything. What I was. What I became. He looked down at his hands, which now maintained a consistent form rather than constantly shifting. What I am now. The harmonization worked, Goku explained, his original spirit aura gradually fading as he returned to normal. Your techniques aren't gone, they're integrated. Instead of fighting each other, they're now working together. I can feel them, Cypher said with wonder. All the knowledge, all. The methods I've collected, but organized, coherent. I can access any of them without corruption. The anti-mimic lock has been reborn inside you, Nexus observed, studying his brother's energy signature. Not as a barrier, but as a framework, a organizing principle for all you've copied. Cypher nodded slowly. Yes. I can feel that too. He turned to Goku. Your original spirit, it showed me a path I never considered. Not rejection of the mimic ability, not surrender to its chaos, but transcendence through integration. So, you're not going to destroy us all? Krillin asked hesitantly. A smile, the first genuine expression they had seen from Cypher, crossed his face. No, small one. The rage that drove me for eons has, not vanished, but transformed. I see now that my brother's actions, while misguided, came from concern rather than rejection. He turned to Nexus. And I see that your pursuit of me across the cosmos was not merely to punish, but to find a way to help. You never gave up on me, even after everything I did. Nexus's patterns expressed complex emotions, regret, hope, relief, love. You are my brother. I have searched for a way to heal you since the day you fled our world. And now, through the most unlikely instrument, a scion with a newborn mimic ability, that healing has finally come, Cypher acknowledged, turning back to Goku. You have done what neither I nor my brother could do alone. You have bridged the gap between copying and understanding. Goku rubbed the back of his head, his usual modesty returning as the last traces of original spirit faded. Honestly, I was kinda making it up as I went along. But I'm glad it worked out. Vegeta snorted. Typical Kakarot. Stumbling into universe-altering achievements by accident. Not entirely by accident, Nexus corrected. His journey with the mimic ability, his choice to use it as a tool for understanding rather than a shortcut to power, created the conditions for this resolution. So what happens now? Gohan asked, looking between Cypher and Nexus. The brothers exchanged a long look, centuries of conflict and misunderstanding hanging between them. Now, Cypher finally said, we begin anew. I have much to atone for, worlds damaged, knowledge taken, lives disrupted. And the originators have their own accounting to face for how they have treated those with the mimic ability. Nexus nodded solemnly. Yes. Our fear led us to suppress rather than understand. That must change. Perhaps, Cypher suggested, we could establish a new tradition among the originators, one that honors both purity of technique and the integration of diverse methods. Not opposing paths, but complementary ones. The path of origin and the path of synthesis, Nexus agreed. Both valid approaches to the same ultimate goal, understanding the true nature of energy and existence. As the brothers continued their reconciliation, Goku moved back to join his friends and family. The strain of maintaining original spirit had left him exhausted but deeply satisfied. So, Piccolo said, this copying ability of yours, still think it was just a neat trick to get stronger? Goku laughed. Definitely not anymore. It's way more complicated, and way more interesting, than I thought. Are you going to keep using it? Gohan asked. Yeah, but differently now, Goku replied thoughtfully. Not just copying techniques, but really understanding them, seeing how they connect to the people who created them and the principles behind them. And this original spirit state? Vegeta inquired. Will you be showing off that again? Honestly, I'm not sure I could maintain it for long, Goku admitted. It takes a lot out of me. But the understanding I gained from it, that's permanent. I see energy differently now. Vegeta nodded, a rare look of genuine respect crossing his features. Perhaps there is something to this copying business after all, when done properly. Speaking of which, Goku grinned at Vegeta, we still never finished our tournament match. Once I've rested up, what do you say we have that rematch? No copying allowed, just our own techniques. Vegeta's competitive smirk returned. Oh, I'll hold you to that, Kakarot. And don't think I haven't developed a few new surprises while you were playing mediator to cosmic entities. As the group began to make their way back toward Capsule Corporation, Goku paused to look back at Cypher and Nexus. The Originator brothers stood together, patterns harmonizing as they communicated in their species' unique way. Enemies for eons, now finding a path to reconciliation through the very ability that had divided them. The mimic ability had brought unexpected challenges and opportunities into Goku's life. What had started as an exciting new way to get stronger had evolved into something far more profound, a deeper understanding of what it truly meant to be a martial artist. Copying techniques wasn't about shortcuts or stealing. At its best, it was about connection, about experiencing the wisdom and creativity of others directly, and adding your own understanding to the ongoing evolution of martial arts. As Goku turned to follow his friends, he felt a new sense of purpose. His journey with this ability was just beginning, and he couldn't wait to see where it would lead next. But first, food. Creating entirely new energy systems really worked up an appetite. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.